and online.
Football from Sports Sound.
Brilliant drop of the shoulder. What a goal!
From BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute.
Welcome to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. We've already had incredible drama at McDermott Park. St Johnstone equalised Celtic in stoppage time, but Giacomac has got the winner in the 95th minute. We've heard from both managers there. We're now building up to our 3 o'clock kickoffs. The game's just getting underway. We just heard from both managers there at Ibrox. Let's then get to the ground and join Rory Loy. What are you expecting this afternoon, Rory?
Well, I expect a very competitive performance from St Mirren today. It's going to be difficult for them. Good afternoon, Kenny. And I just feel that with the height they've got on their side, they need to make the most of set pieces. Rangers have made a few changes as well. 5 wins in the last 6 games. If ever St Mirren are coming here with a free shot trying to get something from the game than it's today, I expect St Mirren to go out for as many points as they can get. And I'm really looking forward to this one, Kenny.
Yeah, it should be another good game. They're in a great run of form, St Mirren. Rangers very poor, you'd have to say, down at Liverpool on Tuesday evening. Let's then get to Easter Road. Hibs also in decent form, and Motherwell really fantastic during the week up at Ross County, battling them up there in Dingwall. Stephen Craigan is at Easter Road for us this afternoon. You've got the team news there, Stephen?
I do indeed, Ken, and I have to say I'm really looking forward to this game this afternoon. It's a lovely autumn afternoon here at Easter Road, and unsurprisingly both teams are unchanged from their last victory. You said it, both sides have beaten Ross County within the last 7 days, so Hibs will line up with David Marshall in goal, the back four of Cadden, Porteous, Hanlon and Cabrera. A midfield 2 of Kenny and Newell. Josh Campbell will play just ahead of those 2. Martin Boyle, Johan and Kuharovic will be the front 3. For Motherwell, it's the exact same 11 who overturned Ross County 5-0 on Tuesday night. So it'll be Liam Kelly in goal, Paul McGinn at right back, Solholm, Ricky Lamy and Matt Penny, who I have to say has been very impressive since he came to the club. That midfield trio of Sean Goss, Blair Spittle and Callum Slattery, and a front 3 of effort. Kevin Van Veen, 9 goals in his last 8 games, which includes 2 hat-tricks, and Connor Shields is the 11th player, and the referee is Grant Irvine.
Thank you to Stephen. Yeah, looking forward to that. It should be an open attacking game there at Easter Road. Now we've got some technical problems at Livingston this afternoon. They're at home, Leanne to Ross County. Just look at that. Livingston going very well this season. You know, they've got themselves 4 wins. County just the 1 win, second from bottom. On in the back, as Stephen was saying, in a real drubbing midweek up in Dingwall.
Yeah, and they need to bounce back. A real sore one. Credit to Motherwell, brilliant performance, ruthless in front of goal. But they need to bounce back, because you can only put so many results like that together before you fall into a bit of a hole and a bit of a sticky spot. But Livingston are a brilliant side. You know exactly what you get from them. They're at home as well. They're always a tough opponent. They've got that never say die attitude as well. So it'll be an interesting game this afternoon.
It's a good story about the crossbar.
Yes, saw that coming through.
Yeah, so one of the Livy crossbar, one of the Livy goals, there's a sag in the crossbar, and they're going to use one of the portable goals instead of wheeling out with the wheels and everything. So
I did see an image of David Martindale trying to fix it.
The man that does everything.
Jack of all trades.
Malcolm McCarthy, the crossbar doesn't have consistency to it, so they're going to take that out and go with one of the portable goals. They need to weigh it down and measure it.
It'd be nice if Davey could also fix Jim Duffy's line there at Almond Vale as well. That's down at the moment, but we'll bring you all the news. Yeah, always a story. It's been an amazing day so far. What drama at McDermott Park this afternoon. There are 4 games in the Championship this afternoon. We had all these games, of course. A big game in Inverness last night. Inverness Cally Thistle getting a win against Partick Thistle. Strong comments after that game from the Partick Thistle manager Ian McCall. Now, he has made an apology to the referee this afternoon. We'll read it out to you in a few minutes' time. But let's then get to Somerset Park. Ayr United against Queen's Park. Derek Ferguson.
Yes, Kenny, yeah, it was just a chance here. Just as you've came to it, there's another one. Ayr started pretty well. It was Dipo Akinyemi. He was put through. He's down the right-hand side into the box. I don't know why he didn't take the shot on. He elected to square it across. He should have had the shot pass. It was a corner kick. It was just come out there, and I think it was Chalmers there just with a hit over the bar. We throw back to the old days, Kenny, here. I mean, all the fans, it's hard to to distinguish who's who, you know, both in black and white. But the Ayr fans have all moving from one terrace and right around to the other side behind the goals that they're kicking into. So it's I remember the days when I used to go to watch Ackies. We used to do that at Hamilton Ackies. So it's a lovely throwback.
It's a goal for Rangers. Borna Barisic picks up the ball right on the near the edge of the box. He strikes it way across goal through the laces with the left foot. It pings off the post, and who's there to tap it home? That man, Antonio Colak. 1-0 Rangers.
He finds himself in a very fortunate position, Rory, doesn't he? The hit from Barisic, it's a decent enough strike, not a lot of force on it, I would need to say. I don't know if it takes a slight deflection in the way through, comes off the post, but Colak, he's instinctive. He puts himself in an area and he doesn't need to do too much more than just connect and redirect it back on target.
Yeah, he's carving out a career as a penalty box striker, that's for sure, here at Ibrox. And it was right on the angle, the shot for Barisic. You could see he was going to try and angle it into that far corner, and it pings off the post, and Colak's not on his heels, that's for sure, and he tucks it home. Even
that early doors though, Rory, from Borna Barisic, maybe would indicate he's got a bit more confidence about him, I think, in recent weeks. I know that tough Champions League matches, but he's having those shots from distance. He's taken on a wee bit more of the onus himself to go and add to his assists and goals for Rangers.
Absolutely, and see, after about a minute and a half, St Mirren got a free kick in a dangerous area. Now, I've watched Kilmarnock and St Johnstone come here, get free kicks in good areas and not make the most of them. Now, St Mirren have got Gogic, Gallagher, Dunn, they've got Curtis Main on the side today, they've got Scott Tanser delivering, and it was a poor ball in. They really need to make the most of these opportunities. They're a big side, St Mirren, if they're to get in here today, so they'll be disappointed with that delivery and disappointed that Rangers went straight up the other end and scored.
That's 5 games in a row where Colak, 5 league games in a row where Colak has scored at Ibrox.
He just looks lethal in front of goal.
Last person to do that, Alfredo Morelos. Guy sitting on the bench.
I want to bring Leanne in this later on. We had a discussion down at Anfield, Tom, with Neil McCann. A lot of Rangers fans saying, why can't Colak and Morelos play together? So we'll get into that later in the programme. So an early goal there for Rangers at Ibrox.
Goal!
Yeah, take it away.
It's a goal, Kenny. It's a goal for Ayr United. I was criticising him earlier there, Deepo Akinyemi, but this time he gets on the end of a cross with his head into the back of the net. Ayr United 1 goal up.
Another goal there.
Goal at Starks Park. It's Wraith Rovers 1, Cove Rangers 0, and it's Aidan Connolly, his 4th goal of the season, slotted it in the bottom right hand corner after a defensive mistake by Cove Rangers. Wraith Rovers 1, Cove Rangers 0.
What a start to coverage in League One. Queen of the South are 1-0 up away to Airdrie. Josh Todd in the 3rd minute there.
Arbroath as well.
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, it's Killian Sheridan, an absolute perfect execution of a counter-attack, to be fair. Ricky Little just before that, a minute ago, had a great chance for Arbroath. Dundee went right up the park. Arbroath caught napping, and it was headed in from close range. Dundee up 1-0.
Yeah, big goal for Dundee. They've been struggling in recent weeks. Other goals in Scotland. Stranraer 0, Elgin City 1, Kane Hester. We told you there, Colak on 4 minutes giving Rangers advantage. Airdrie have equalised against Queen of the South there. That's an equaliser for the home side. Callum Gallagher on 5 minutes. Derek telling us Akinyemi on 6 minutes giving Ayr United the lead. Kenny telling us Wraith Rovers to Aidan Connolly on 6 minutes. And a goal there for Dundee. 1-0 up away to Arbroath. Let's then get to Chick Young. Can you bring a goal to us, Chick?
No, I can't, Kenny. Very nearly, I have to say. There was a great effort from Jack Baird that was getting into the far post, and somehow Martin Shields got back ahead of the ball over the crossbar. Morton have got a chance there. It's come over the line. It is over the line. This time Morton half scored, and I think at the far post there it was. I think it was Baird again, just getting to the far post. That was a bunch of players, got the header in, looked as if it wouldn't go over the line, but it did in the end. So yes, I can provide you with a goal, and Jack Baird, the former St Mirren player, scores for Morton.
Never lets us down, does Chick. What a start to the afternoon. So many goals flying in Scottish football. Yep.
A wee PS in the thing you were talking about, Livingston. You will recall a few years ago when Hearts were in Europe playing Real Mallorca. The crossbar was too low. It was inspected by the UEFA Observer. In fact, I was on the pitch with Jim Jeffries and I could touch the crossbar. So that'll give you an idea how low it was. Hearts fans maybe going to Mallorca with Hearts. What?
Yes, some great trips over the past few years. It's been it was a great draw, I think it's fair to say, Tom, for our sides in the European campaign. Each of the sides had a glamour tie, it's fair to say, but it's been a hugely disappointing week, hasn't it?
Yeah, like I said after the game at Anfield, be careful what you wish for. You know, you want the glamour in the Champions League, and when they qualify, say when Rangers qualified, the great euphoria of qualifying and the great euphoria of seeing the glamour draw that they get. But then the reality hits home when you have to go and play these teams.
Yeah.
And it's brutally hard. It's savagely hard. I don't think Rangers did themselves any justice whatsoever at Anfield. I thought they were very passive, very negative. They're 3 games in, no goals scored, 1 point between the two clubs in the Champions League. It's proving very, very hard for them. Celtic, I thought, were disappointing as well. Not taking their chances against Leipzig and really being lucky to escape with a 3-1. It's tough going. And then Hearts, well, there's not a lot of joy in Europe.
No, there was another early goal. SC Edinburgh 1-0 up at home to Celtic Hearts. Danny Handling with the goal there in 6 minutes. Stephen Craigan, what did you make of our performances, actually in general in Europe this season? Is it a bit of a reality check for us?
Kenny, I always think, particularly the big two, the Champions League is a level beyond anything that Celtic and Rangers play out on a regular basis. Of course it is. Rangers getting to the Europa League final last season was brilliant. I think that's probably the level they're at, which is probably top of the Europa League, possibly bottom of the Champions League. However, they're going to struggle, and you only have to look at what clubs in the Champions League invest. And I know a lot of Scottish football fans say, well, Rangers and Celtic outpay and have more resources than Scottish teams. Of course they have, and that's why they win everything. But it's roles reversed when they go into European football. And I just think, when you consider where Celtic were when Ange Postecoglou came in, 15, 16 months ago, where Rangers have been prior to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst coming in, not really competing at the top end of European football, then, it's progress. Progress is getting there. They have to, accumulate the finances that come along. The players have to get better. The manager has to get better. They have to try and close the gap if they can. And I think this season is a big learning curve. These players and manager will now know what they have to do potentially to get forward. Then they'll have to look to get into the Champions League on a regular basis, bring that money in and build and add and become better. This season has been a real stark warning of the step up.
Derek, what did you make of the Rangers' performance down at Anfield? I mean, they never got close to Liverpool in the night. I was quite struck by the gulf on the evening.
To me, Kenny, it seemed as if the players were beaten before they took to the park. That's just the feeling that I got. We didn't lay a glove on them, and I totally get where Stephen's coming from. There is levels, and yeah, Liverpool are a level above, but I think within that, you've still got to, at times within the game, have a go. And I've just thought we lost that game with a whimper. We didn't, it's a little bit similar the other night watching the Hearts game. I felt that as well. I think sometimes we be respectful, and acknowledge how good these players are, how good they are as a team. But when you cross that white line, at least get up against them, give them a game. Be aggressive.
Good save. Sorry, Derek.
No, you crack on.
Good save from Trevor Carson there. St Mirren are switching off from corners. Rangers find themselves getting opportunities far too easy from corners, and it goes from Tavernier to Jack. Jack takes a step forward on the edge of the box and a shot, and it's well saved by Trevor Carson. Tip round the post. It's another corner for Rangers.
So Kenny, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed in the performance, I'm not going to lie.
It's an interesting one, Rory. Derek used the word respectful there. I noticed the pre-match comments ahead of Tuesday night. James Tavernier said that what they learned was they paid Ajax too much respect. They stood off them too much. And he said they were going with a different approach against Liverpool, but they were never allowed to do that. They just couldn't get the ball.
Well, they weren't, and I heard a few opinions on the game the other night, and Cholak, look, he's going to turn there, and somebody described it. I was, Tavernier, shoots, and Trevor Carson makes a mess of it. He makes a mess of it. He goes to catch it, ends up going up in the air, and he tips it over his crossbar. It's another Rangers corner. Trevor Carson looked a little bit shaky there after a good save previously. In terms of the game the other night, it was like the Ajax game, but with Alan McGregor in goals. So Rangers are finding it really difficult. They need to find a way to be able to hurt teams going the other way. It's all good and well being solid and trying to have a base to build from, but they don't build anything. And these teams are proven, as the guys have touched on, just a step too far at the moment. I don't know if it's about being too respectful. It's just about not being able to get up the pitch. Taking the ball in tight areas, being brave is something they could maybe look to do a little bit better at times, but maybe that fear of losing it and the quality they're playing against, conceding too many goals. But Stephen hit the nail on the head. It's role reversal. You see St Mirren today, they're deep in their own half, they're struggling to get out at times, and it's the same when Rangers go to Anfield.
Kenny, another one as well. Liverpool are one of the favourites to win it. Napoli have probably, got their best side they've had for 10 or 15 years, and by all accounts, are the best side in Serie A. And Ajax, I think, brought in something like 200 million in the summer and spent 100 million. So for Rangers to compete with that, bringing in 6 or 7 players over the summer and spending £9 million, it's nigh impossible. And I get what the guys are saying. You've got to be brave, you've got to take the ball, but sometimes you come into an environment and you're smothered that much. At the time you lift your head, the ball's gone.
It's impossible.
Changes.
Over the course of
that the Celtic, their approach has been very different to that of Rangers in these Champions League matches.
But see, Stephen, over the course of a season, it's impossible. But over the course of a smaller sample size of 6 games, you can't tell me that Rangers aren't capable of performing to a level where they could maybe nick something against Napoli at home or Ajax at home and going and maybe not finishing top of the group, of course, but nicking a 3rd place or expecting a little bit more. It's not over the course of a full season. On a one-off game, seen a couple of weeks ago, St Mirren beat Celtic, so it is possible. And I just think over 6 games, Rangers and Celtic could be expected to be doing just a little bit better than they are at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, we can get into the area that, they can't compete, the financial gulf, blah, 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 blah. But, there's other clubs in this league. St Johnstone today shouldn't have been able to compete against Celtic, but they did, because the financial gulf was massive. You look at Club Brugge, top of their pool, 3 wins out of 3 with Porto, Bayer Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid. They shouldn't be able to compete, but they find a way. Now, I know it's early days for Celtic and Rangers in the Champions League. They're trying to find their feet, but I'm a little bit disappointed, certainly disappointed with Rangers, that they haven't been able to put up much of a fight in their games. And Celtic, I thought they were good against Real Madrid until Madrid started to open up. I thought they were decent in their second game. The other night, wasteful, and then got taken to the cleaners in the end. So I think probably, although acknowledging they're up against it in all of these games, still disappointed. Not a huge amount more, but to be a bit more competitive.
Rangers have spent big money on Ryan Kent, for example, who has not delivered anywhere near what. I mean, the guy can clearly play, but quite frankly, it hasn't been playing.
He's not good enough at that level.
He's getting talked about a move to the English Premier League, but we saw the other night at Liverpool. No chance. Not now.
It's debatable. This season, he's not even good enough for Scottish Premiership level, I don't think.
It took a long time to drop him. He's out of the team today. Here's a chance for Morton, incidentally. It's a goal! 2-0 to Morton. Can't finish. It's Kabaya. It's a long ball from the back. Kabaya just springs the offside trap. Held his run magnificently. He's 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Takes his time and slots it beyond Ryan Fulton. Morton 2, Hamanakis 0.
So many early goals this afternoon. Stennismuir 0 and an Athletic 1. Tommy Goss on 11 minutes there. Stirling Albion are now 2-0 up on Dumbarton. Paul McLean with the second goal. Airdrie have turned it around early on against Queen of the South. Callum Fordyce has put them 2-1 ahead there. So lots of early goals. Albion Rovers have just gone ahead against Bonnyrigg Rose. Luke Graham on the 14th minute has put Rovers 1-0 up there. Fingers crossed here. I think we have got the line established here at Almondvale. Good afternoon, Jim Duffy.
Good afternoon, Kenny. Sorry about the delay. A few technical hiccups.
Oh, dear.
There's another.
You could hear it in his voice. He sounds deflated, doesn't he?
Hick. We didn't get the up. We got the hick.
Niggy Davy Martindale back up there. He's not done a good enough job with that line there at Almondvale.
Kenny.
But goalless there.
You can tell him, Kenny.
Yes.
Can I go back to the Rangers thing, right? Are we maybe doing them a little bit of a disservice here against Liverpool? The goals that they conceded weren't from open play. So realistically, from that point of view, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, anyone can, but surely the fact that they haven't conceded from open play is there's got to be positives in that. The free kick was just nobody stopping that.
The one positive was that Alan McGregor was in goals.
Exactly. I mean, they're
they haven't conceded from open play.
I don't think that was a criticism, Gavin, too much of a criticism, because I think it was that they're not given, or they're not able to find a way to give enough going forward. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I think it's more having a game plan to be competitive. I mean, Kent had half a chance. Other than that, I mean, did they have a chance of note? And it's against Liverpool, and I totally appreciate that. And in any given day, Rangers could potentially get a hiding at that level. However, I think they can do a little bit more at times, and over the course of 6 games in the group they're in, it's very, very difficult, but you'd expect them to be competitive in some of the games.
Yeah, you do. You do want them to be competitive. Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, there maybe wasn't any big chances of note. Yeah, I would completely give you with that. But I'm just trying to put a little bit more of a positive spin on it for Rangers.
No, we don't need positive. We just need fair analysis. We don't need positive spin on anything.
I think being there and watch them getting cut open time and again, and Alan McGregor was absolutely sensational against Darwin Núñez.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's he's 40 years of age. He's playing like a 25-year-old, brilliantly alert. Made some saves which you expect him to save. Some really top-notch saves. He must have made about 6 or 7 saves. By far and away their best player.
You're right, Tom. If it hadn't been for him, Rangers would have turned up the wrong movie. They really did.
Yeah. What about Hearts, Derek? As you said, you cover that game on Sports Sound on Thursday evening. I saw a lot of Hearts fans very critical of the recruitment after a lot of praise for Joe Savage last season, saying that they've just not got into the demands of domestic and European football with a strong and big enough squad.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough for Hearts. You know, they're carrying, it's not the biggest of squads. I think Alan Preston's been very vocal on that, and quite rightly so, but also the quality it was on show. But again, I'm going to go back to it, it's as if Hearts were in awe of Fiorentina. Again, is the game plan that was set out, I thought it restricted the players. I thought, you know, going to Tynecastle at times as an opposition players, when Hearts hunt you down, get after you, you know, then the fans react to that. At least, I'm not saying you could do it all game, but at least I thought they should have started off like that and tried to, you know, unsettle Fiorentina. But and the tactics that were set out, it just allowed Fiorentina to get into a mode of play where they were so comfortable, they were just stroking the ball about, and that's the last thing you want to do for the opposition. Coming to, whether it's Tynecastle, Ibrox, Celtic Park, wherever, Somerset, where I'm here today, you've got to make the opposition feel uncomfortable, and that's getting up against them, being aggressive. And again, I'll go back to it about the levels. Yeah, they're a level above, but you've got to use what you have. If that's pace, if it's strength, if that's aggression, use what you've got. But they didn't do it.
Derek, how much of a miss though is Craig Halkett and Kai Rolls at centre back? I feel for Hearts, even with the squad that they've got, they need to have their strongest team on the pitch, and sadly for the last number of games, especially in Europe, they've not had that.
Yeah, and that's where, and I think Craig said the other night, Craig Levine, that they needed to carry that bit of luck in terms of injuries, and unfortunately they've not had that. But I just thought they made it too comfortable for Fiorentina the other night, Leanne, and that's the one thing, you know, use what you've got. You know, and if it's the crowd, you know, and there was a full house there, and I don't think the Hearts fans allowed the crowd to get behind them. And I mean, I don't want to talk about it in the past, but I'm going to. But at times when I played at Ibrox, you know, and the crowd are going mental, it spurs you on. And the opposition, they sometimes can go into a shell. It's one off the line there. It was Ayr United. It was a corner kick. I think it was Don Thomas. It was just come right over that back post there, and the keeper Alvison just had to scramble just to clear it away.
So a goal for Manchester City, the English Premier League. Joao Cancelo with a goal there in 20 minutes, 1-0 up at home to Southampton. In a few minutes' time, a really strong statement today from the Partick Thistle manager Ian McCall. We'll get the guy's thoughts on that in a couple of minutes' time. But let's get round the grounds then for these 3 o'clock kickoffs. Celtic, a late win at McDermott Park against St Johnstone at lunchtime. Don't forget, full commentary to come from Tannadice. 4,000 Aberdeen fans on their way. That's absolutely terrific support for the away side. We see it time and again. They're at Tannadice. A 6 o'clock kick-off this afternoon. I'm told we won't hear from Jim Goodman, but we will chat about the punishment that's been handed down to him following his comments about Ryan Porteous a couple of weeks ago. So let's then get to Rory Loy. Rangers in front early on there, Rory, looking fairly comfortable.
Yeah, St Mirren look like they can do something going forward though when they do break, but Rangers look very, very dangerous when they've got the ball, I must say. Charles Dunn struggling to deal with Antonio Cholak. They're playing 3 at the back, St Mirren.
Oh my goodness me, what a goal that was. It's Morton running riot against Hawanakis here. It's Grant Gillespie. It's a wonderful move by Morton. Lewis Sharp wins the ball in the middle of the park, works his way up the left side. The ball's worked back to Gillespie. He's coming in outside the box and sweeps it in with his left foot. What a goal. And they're absolutely getting torn apart. Derek of the Ackies. It's Morton 3, Hawanakis 0.
Thanks very much, Chick.
It's your pleasure.
Yes, second from bottom in the championship table. The Ackies, a really poor start to the season for them. Let's then get to Stephen Craigan, who's dominating the early exchanges here, Stephen.
Kenny, I have to say it's been Hibs for the majority of the game. What I will say is it's a really open game because Motherwell want to deal with the ball. They want to pass the ball through the thirds. Callum Slattery at times has been a little bit loose in possession. And when you've got Martin Boyle on one side and you've got Johan on the other side, they've got real pace. So if Matt Penny gets caught forward, there's lots of space for him to run into down this right-hand side for Boyle. And if Paul McGinn gets forward, then Johan down the left-hand side. So there's been some good play from Hibs. Boyle had a chance, it was saved by Liam Kelly. Johan had a shot as well. Chris Cadden had a shot deflected over, but Motherwell, you just think on the break there is something there for them. And when you've got Kevin Van Veen in the squad, I have to say it's a really good battle between him and Ryan Porteous. Have been leaving a little bit on each other, so that's certainly one to keep an eye on. But 0-0, but Hibs have been the better team.
Stirling Albion now 3-0 up at home to Dumbarton. Dale Carrick on 22 minutes here. Let's try Jim Duffy then again at Almondvale. How's it sounding now, Jim?
We'll give it a go. Very brief. I think it's dropping off and on, Kenny. But anyway, there's just been a horrible challenge here on Joe Nobley. I mean, he wasn't last man. He was a covering defender. But I still think, from where I'm sitting, I think the challenge was definitely could have been a red just on its own. But nevertheless, I'm not sure if it's Baldwin or Jakovitis picked up the yellow card. But anyway, Joe Nobley's taking a lot of time for treatment here because I think it was a scything challenge he was going through on goal. He was in an inside left position, so he wasn't going right through. And as I said, there was a covering defender, but it's 0-0. Although Livingston with the better team, Curtis Guthrie missed an absolute snip in the early part of the match. And just before the game, Kenny, we nearly had the game called off yes. because there was a bevel in the bar. Livingston, and they had to bring in the portable goals. So, but at this stage, still 0-0, though Livingston being the better side. Yeah,
just looking at that, Kenny, it's a poor challenge on Joe Nobley. Yeah. I would need to say yellow probably is the right decision, albeit he kind of scissor challenges Nobley almost from behind. It was Keith Watson, he's picked up the yellow card. But Nobley does look like he's struggling, just that motion.
You must have loved that tackle.
It probably could
have. Tell you, Leon. You must have loved that tackle.
Listen, I'll see it again because no doubt I'll get slaughtered if I get it wrong. But I think his intent to play the ball, he just catches him, he gets it all wrong. Good to see Nobley back on his feet though.
Jim, we had a good debate earlier on. Have you heard it with the problems in the line there? Liam was making the point. Alan and Packy from McDermott Park we're talking about the celebrations that St Johnstone had there, perhaps not switched on, using a lot of energy, charging up the park and then losing the goal almost immediately.
Leanne saying, look, I just celebrate. Yes. 1 second, and there's also a changes getting made. We've not even played half an hour. And 2 changes getting made, and I think the players coming off for Wraith Rovers are not that happy with them. One of them is Lewis Smith on the far side, and the other one coming off. Well, I can't quite see who's getting it off, but there's 2 changes getting made, and the player walking around the far side is not happy with it. Obviously, tactical changes made in this early stage of the game with them trailing 3-0, and the players and the management far from happy.
Absolutely, that's an absolute battering down there at Capello so far. Where do you stand in this, Jim? Liam was making the point, it was down to poor defending. That's what cost St Johnstone getting a draw this afternoon. Alan and Pack saying it was a bit reckless, isn't the word, but irresponsible perhaps, charging up, having these big celebrations at the other end of the park, and perhaps not fully switched on then for the resuming play.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, when you score so late on against Celtic, and you do get carried away a little bit, but that's when I think the experienced players, the coaching staff, you see managers all the time pointing to the tempos in their head, and obviously that's the reason why they do it. Somebody like Andy Considine, or they've got plenty of experience in there. Somebody should be saying, hey, listen, this game is not done, and how many times the Celtic score late winners. So I think it's more down to the experienced players.
It's another one for Wraith Rovers. It's an absolute beauty by Jamie Gullen. Free kick from about 25 yards, right-footed, curled into the top left-hand corner. Kyle Gourley, no chance in the Cove Rangers goal. Wraith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0.
What a start we've had in the Championship this afternoon. Goals in all 4 games. A home win for Inverness Cally Thistle against Partick Thistle last night. Derek Ferguson, Ayr United, made a great start of the season. Slipped a few over the past couple of weeks, I think it's fair to say. But off to a great start there at Somerset against Queen's Park this afternoon.
And I tell you what, Kenny, they've got a real threat up top. Dipo Akinyemi, he's running riot at times. And that back... 3 or 4 at times, the Queen's Park defence, they can't handle him. He just had a header, just went past just moments ago. He's had 2 or 3 shots, and it's not just his pace and his power, he's linking the game as well really well, and
I tell you what, Ken, it's his 8th goal of the season he's already scored. If he keeps this form up, I would imagine bigger clubs would be come calling. Yeah, I don't know if any of the other guys that have watched him, but I've saw him, it's the third time this season. Every time I've watched him, really impressed with him.
He looks excellent, Derek, doesn't he? He's one of those players as well that I think he's found a home, and albeit other clubs might come and look at him, but he's a player that's jumped about the non-league in England. He never had too much experience, albeit games in non-league. So now he's found a place, he's scoring goals, he's a main part of the team. Everything that they do goes through him.
And Leanne, hopefully you get Michael Stewart home last night.
Absolutely, I dropped him off.
You.
It's always nice to do a good deed for a colleague.
Well, 3.5 hours to Carol Michael.
No, thankfully it was only half an hour, Derek. I got him in Aviemore.
Politics the whole way down the road. I've had that with him before. It's a long journey. Right, another goal in Scotland. Elgin City 2-0 up away to Stranraer. Russell Dingwall, take it away, Rory.
To Rangers. It's Antonio Colak. He's been caught right inside the 6-yard box. It's difficult to see what happened from here, but it looked like he got to the ball first. He nicked the ball past him and he was just wiped out as the ball was cleared and he went down. Liano maybe got a better look at it.
I'm not sure who the defender is. It's wrong side of him, Rory, but you're right. I've only seen it once. We're just waiting for the replay. Colak gets his body in front.
As if it's a bad decision, but it's difficult to tell from my angle, I must say.
It's very soft, I think. Colak has got the touch. He's then kind of tried to ride the challenge. It's like Tom English is a bit closer at the screen as well. I think it's very soft, if I'm being honest.
Can't believe it's a dodgy penalty against St Mirren for Rangers.
James Tavernier's going to take it. I think Colak wanted a wee bite at it, but there was no chance. The skipper's going to step up and take it. Trevor Carson in goals. Other than that one wee dodgy moment, he's actually done pretty well so far, Carson. He's claimed a lot of crosses and a lot of corners. Here we go, Nick Walsh blows the whistle. Up he steps. Go! Right down the middle. Carson dives to his right. Tavernier hits it right down the middle. It's Rangers 2, St Mirren 0.
Yeah, what a start for Rangers there at Ibrox. Tom, a close look.
Well, Gallagher on Colak, but the angle is the other. We need to see the other side of the angle. Yeah. We just see the angle from behind, and it's just hard to see whether there was contact.
Colak almost as if he knows the challenge is coming, because he gets the touch and then he jumps almost to ride over it. So whether there's been contact, as you say, Tom, we'll hopefully see it from a better angle. Even throughout half time, we might see it.
Stephen Robinson's reaction is he just turns to the official on the sideline and kind of spreads his arms out wide. Doesn't even say anything. It's like speechless.
Well, I see Stephen Thompson will come up later on to tell us what's in sports scene this evening. They perhaps will have another couple of angles to look at that. So we'll get that after 5 o'clock. So many goals in the Championship. What a start the afternoon there. Let's get back to Gavin Wallace at Gayfield. The away side on top there, Gavin.
Yeah, they are on top by score, but certainly in the game I would say Arbroath are actually looking really good. They've peppered the Dundee goal the last 10-15 minutes. There was some really, really good chances. Oakley burst forward the 20th minute or so. It was a great save actually from Legsdon's down to his left-hand side. But I would say, Arbroath, it's not been the greatest of starts to the season, Kenny. It's been quite kind of well documented what happened last year, and this season it seems as if everyone's got the better of them at the moment. However, they are I would say on top in possession, but Dundee still one up after that Zach Rudden goal in the 6th minute. Yeah, Arbroath bottom of the table, just above them Chick Young, Hamilton, Accies. Real concerns for Ackie fans in terms of what you've seen this afternoon?
Well, John Rankin made the double substitution, and it was certainly no injuries involved. Tactical double substitution after 25 minutes, at which point Hamilton were 3-0 down to Morton, so that perhaps tells you the whole story. They've torn apart. Goals from Jack Baird, Cabaya scored one, and Gillespie the third. All good goals, and I have to say Hamilton Accies all over the place. In the back, I met Alan Maitland, the chairman in the car park, coming into ground earlier, Kenny, and he was saying, they've got to hang on this year. They've got a great group of young players coming through, but it's going to take another year or two for them to emerge and develop. But that's don't get much time to. Patience not a great virtue in football, is it?
No, that's for sure. Listen, I'll read this out. I'd be interested to know what the guys' thoughts are on this, because Leanne, you were involved in this game. Actually, you made some comments yourself on this last night. So the game, Inverness Cally Thistle beating Partick Thistle last night live on the BBC Scotland channel. Ian McCall has come out today, told Off the Ball, I would like to publicly apologise to Scott Lambie, that was the referee last night. Whilst I maintain that 2 pivotal mistakes were made, I appreciate that football is in part about mistakes from players, managers and referees. But my comments after the game were verging on bullying. That's something I abhor. I regret these comments, and they do not reflect well on me or my great club. I will be apologising to Scott. face to face in due course. Both yourself and Michael Stewart last night, Leanne, were critical of Ian's assessment of the referee.
Yeah, I thought it was really harsh. Look, and I said it last night, I'm the first one to be critical of a referee. Big moments in big games, you need to get them right. I thought last night Scott Lambie, it was his first game in the Championship. I thought he actually controlled the game relatively well. Yes, it was 2 big calls, and where I viewed it last night was if it had been a decision that had gone, for either side, I don't think you could have been as critical. I think Ian McCall felt aggrieved that his team had lost in the manner in which they did. And it was 2 decisions that really could have gone either way. I still haven't seen the penalty claim in terms of the contact on Ross Docherty, whether it was definitively a penalty or not, or it could have been. And the red card for me, it was a clumsy, poor challenge from Kyle Turner, but at the same time, I thought if Roddy McGregor had actually wholeheartedly went through the ball and actually went through it as a 50-50, he wouldn't have come off with the contact that he did. So I just felt over the course, the things in football that you get wrong and the referees and how much we scrutinise them, I felt Ian McCall was really harsh last night. And it's like it takes a bigger man to come out and actually admit that you've got it wrong. Maybe there's been a bit of pressure from the club, but he's come out, he's apologised, and I think the referee will respect that as well.
Yeah, and I think the important thing from Ian McCall's perspective, it's not a half-hearted apology, Tom. This is a strong statement he put out.
Yeah, listen, his comments last night were strong. His comments today about himself were even stronger than his comments about the referee. Yeah. So I think, he shouldn't have said what he said, but to come out with a comment, with a statement like that, I think it reflects very well on him. And you say not half-hearted, not mealy-mouthed, absolutely 100% full-on criticism of himself and kind of losing control. And I think that's taking ownership of the situation, acknowledging, no, he was unfair, he was wrong to say what he said, and to come out very quickly afterwards and say, no, I mean, to use the word borderline bullying. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard a manager speak that way about, in regret about what he said.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Goal, Kenny. And it's a second for Akinyemi. He's running riot. And any time the ball goes forward, he looks as if he's going to score a goal. That one, it was a second bite of the cherry. His first shot was blocked, and then it fortunately come back to him. Just steadied himself, took a touch, and then passed the ball into the back of net. Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0.
Yeah, a great day so far for Lee Bullen's side. A chance?
Well, there was a big chance for St Mirren not so long ago. I think Marcus Fraser's crossed to the back post, and Marcus Fraser standing there. It was a cross in from the opposite wing back Tanzer. He heads it. I actually think he can take a touch on his chest and bring the ball down. He's in that much room, but he chooses to head it, and it's an easy save in the end for Alan McGregor. But just on the Ian McCall stuff, Kenny, I was at the game last night as well, and to echo what Leanne said, there was no decision in that game that was outrageous by any stretch. I thought the referee had a really, really good game, all things considered. I disagree with Leanne slightly. I think it is a red card, but again, that just goes to show that the difference in opinion between maybe myself and Leanne, which is a slight one, goes to show that really you could look at that incident and you could have a different view from the next person sitting next to you. So at the time, I actually felt for the ref when Ian McCall made those comments, but fair play to him, as Tom says, to come out and say that. But hopefully
I think Ian McCall's always been black or white, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back. He's always very honest in what he says, and sometimes as a manager after a game,
what a goal! Sorry, Stephen, what a goal. That was Bobby Lynn. What a free kick from, halfway inside his own half. On the left-hand side, he's had a pop-it goal. How on earth he's even considered to have a pop-it goal from there? And it went right into the top left-hand corner. Adam Legzdens might look back at that and think he could have done better, but take nothing away from Bobby Lynn. What a goal!
Yeah, they certainly need the goal. Dick Campbell's side really struggling this season, Stephen. So you were saying, and I think the important thing for me, Stephen, listening to that last night, because I heard Thomas Duncan, the commentator, saying it was the referee's first game at that level, and I think for him to be criticised so publicly, that's going to be tough for him to come back from. So I think it was important that Ian McCall put the record straight this afternoon.
Well, I think the big learning curve for Ian McCall is if you're feeling emotional after a game, don't speak to the press.
Yeah.
Take yourself away and let someone else go and do it. Calm yourself down, because that's what you say to players. Calm yourself down, walk away from the situation. So as a manager, you have to set the example. But you've got to say, credit to him for going out, being honest with himself. He will learn from that. he will speak to the referee, but I would have, no doubt the SFA, I'm sure, will have a little word with him. I'm sure something may come his way, but we can't be having that, coming out and criticising referees. Ultimately they're doing a job and they make mistakes.
Stephen, we can't have people getting told not to talk to the press. What are you trying to do? It's an employment.
Well, you can always send someone else at check. You know where I'm coming from.
How tough is that, Jim? I mean, how tough is that, Jim, after a game where emotions are running high, 10 minutes later, you've got to go out and speak to the press? It can't be easy.
But that's what baffles me though, Kenny, because it wasn't a clear and obvious error. It wasn't a massive mistake. It's not like we're sitting here going, oh, it's his first game, he's made a huge error. Ian McCall's frustrated. It wasn't a huge error.
Ian felt it was, though. Say again?
It's not a novice manager. Ian's every bit as experienced. Anyways, like Jim Goodwin doing that a few weeks ago. They're not novices. They were wrong. And Ian's come out and given them, he's obviously thought about it. And I think it's terrific. I have to say that, to come out and apologise in the manner in which he's done. He knows he's made a real mistake there, and been far too harsh on the referee, and he's accepted that and he's apologised. There's not a lot more he can do.
No, Stranraer pulled a goal back against Elgin City. It's now Stranraer 1, Elgin City 2.
Sorry, Kenny.
Yep.
Do you not think that there's maybe something a little bit bigger at play? What Ian McCall has said, and he's come out and he's apologised, and quite rightly so, and it does take a bigger person to do that. Do you not think though that there's maybe something a little bit more deeper into this, where a lot of people are frustrated at referees at the moment across Scotland? It gets spoken about on this programme a lot of the time. It gets looked into in depth in sports scene at times as well. Do maybe is it frustration now really starting to boil over at inconsistencies that we see from referees on a weekly basis?
I know, but you need to pick your battles, I think, though, Gavin, and last night wasn't the night to pick your battle, and I think that's what Ian McCall's reflected on, that he's got it wrong.
Scott Lambie I'm not saying what he's done is right.
No, I know. I just don't think that Scott Lambie last night deserved to take the flak of any frustrations, which I think it's inconsistent refereeing at times, but that's why we need VAR in the game, and I think the sooner that comes in the better. Then we can just debate the human error that's happened in the VAR box rather than on the pitch.
It wouldn't be on that game last night, would it?
No, you're right.
But Ian McCall also said when he came out, he said a more blatant penalty you'll never see, and I think that was definitely wide. And I'll just go through the scores for you as we approach half time. So Celtic beating St John's in the late show McDermott Park by 2-1. Hibs 0, Motherwell 0, Livingston 0, Ross County 0, and Rangers 2. St Mirren 0, 6 o'clock kickoff, full coverage to come from Tannadice. Dundee United against Aberdeen. In the Championship, Arbroath 1, Dundee 1, Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0, Morton 3, Hamilton Accies 0, Raith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0. In League 1, Airdrie 2, Queen of the South 1, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 1, Clyde 0, Montrose 0, SC Edinburgh 1, Kelty Hearts 0, a very early goal there, Peterhead 0, Falkirk 0. And in League 2, Albion Rovers 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. East Fife have just gone ahead away to Forfar by 1-0. Stennismuir 0, Annan 1. Annan though down to 10 men. Stirling 3, Dumbarton 0, and Stranraer 1, Elgin City 2. And in the English Premier League, Bournemouth 0, Leicester City 1. Another big day for Brendan Rodgers. They got the win against Nottingham Forest, so far following that up away to Bournemouth. Chelsea 0, Wolves 0, Manchester City 2, Southampton 0. Cancelo and Foden with the goals there. So far nothing for Erling Haaland. And Newcastle United 2, Brentford 0, just a year after that club were taken over. So approaching half time, Tom English, has been a really exciting first half. So many goals to talk about.
Yeah, we could do a few. It seems like it's been a little while since we've had one. Could do with a great second half at McDermott Park. Really, really good. Rangers come out of the traps really well. 2-0 up. They're going well. Could do with a goal or two elsewhere. I think Frank Soze is at Easter Road today. First time he's been there in 20 years.
Tom, he came back. He delivered the match ball, and I have to say there was a real rapture of applause for Frank Soze. Three sides of the ground broke into applause and sang his name, and the Motherwell fans were texting each other and biting their fingernails. They had no interest whatsoever, but it was great to see such a legend of the game back here at Easter Road, and he certainly enjoyed himself.
He was before my stint in Scotland. What was Frank Soze like? I hear the legend that he was, but I actually never saw him play for
I
Hibs.
think he came into that game. I have seldom in the history, in all the years I've watched football in Scotland, been immediately impressed with it. It was just class.
Did you interview him, Chick? What was he like?
Gentleman, absolute gentleman. Really nice guy. And you know, it didn't work out for him in management, obviously, but as a player, it was like he'd wandered into the wrong playground. You know, he came out, he was in the wee boys' playground, and he came in and it was for the senior school. It was like that. It was absolutely
Check, he played in the second tier, is that right? He played under Alec McLeish when they were in the it's now known as the Championship.
When I think they did, didn't they? I think they did. They came up, and then they came up. But it was just, I mean, so far ahead. You dream of players like that. You go and watch these games, Hibs playing at that time, and you know you're blessed to be around at that time to see a guy like that. It was awesome, and it looked like he never broke sweat. He's one of the best players I've ever seen in Scotland.
I think he only played 90 games for Hibs, but here we are all years later, and Hibs fans idolise him.
February 99, he signed from Montpellier. And you're right, he is totally idolised.
I mean, I've heard so much about Soze. I'd love to have seen him in action for Hibs, because
like kind of Glenn Hoddle type.
Was he, Jim?
Elegant, classy. Made the game look easy.
Never under pressure, Jim, was he?
Yeah, made the game look easy. That's the mark of a top player.
How the current Hibs side doing this afternoon, Stephen?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stalemate, Kenny, since you last came to me. Both sides have, showed plenty of endeavour, been good quality in midfield. The pace of Johan down that left-hand side against Paul McGinn, and sometimes against Solheim, you think if Hibs are going to get a goal, it's going to come from a long ball over the top. He really has got blistering pace. Martin Boyle's always been the one who has brought that to Hibs and has kind of attracted the attention. He's been okay this afternoon. Josh Campbell has got, I think, 5 goals this season, 4 league goals for Hibs. He hasn't really get into the game. It's been a bit of a, it's been two good sides, but ultimately defensively both teams have been decent, and that's why it's 0-0.
Yeah, I'm told Frank Soze is back at the club today as an ambassador for the Stevenson Hanlon Foundation. That's why he accepted the request from the club this afternoon, and the referee just getting in touch with us. He's lazy to blame us for everything that a coach feels goes against him. However, fair play to Ian McCall for holding his hands up. Hope he maybe spoke to the ref himself. He certainly said in his statement today that he will do that. So a strong statement from Ian McCall this afternoon in relation to that game in Inverness last night. We haven't heard from Kenny Crawford much in the programme. Raith Rovers against Cove Rangers, Kenny.
Yeah, 44 minutes gone, Kenny, and it's Raith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0. Two sides that have really stuttered this season, and I thought going into this game Cove Rangers would have had the momentum. 2 wins in a week against Arbroath and Dundee there, but they've just not been at the races today. Raith, on the other hand, have been absolutely brilliant. It could have been 3 or 4, to be honest. Jamie Gullen has been excellent. His goal, the second for Raith, an absolutely superb free kick curled into the top corner. Aidan Connolly, a nice finish to make it 1-0 as well. And an interesting signing on the bench for Raith. They've signed a Faroe Islands international striker who's 6 foot 8 inches tall, John Fredrickson. It'll be really interesting to see what kind of impact he
I seen that last night, Kenny. I was going to ask you, does he look 6 foot 8 when you
He's going to be a handful. Very relaxed. He's just standing in the dugout right next to Ian Murray, and he's kind of chatting away to him as the game goes on. He's obviously got to know Ian quite well already.
I think
it's quite funny to watch,
because he's had an international cap. I'm sure he came on in one of the games against Scotland. I don't know, was it a couple of years ago? Yeah.
It's half time at Ibrox. Rangers 2, St Mirren 0.
Kenny, if you're interviewing him afterwards, I hope you've brought your step ladder, have you?
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy being a hard question to him, that's for sure. You have to
I'll
pick
put him
and choose
in
your
Rose Ed,
fights.
and I'll go down to Roti.
Could be a similar type caption to me and John are standing alongside Chris Iweller on the championship.
What about the game at Almond Vale? Jim Duffy, who's in top there? We were saying earlier on, it's been a rough few weeks for Malcolm Mackay. A lot of praise for him and his side last week, and actually in the early weeks of this campaign, but they've been struggling of late.
Yeah, sorry, Kenny, half time at Capello. It's 3-0 Morton against Hamonakis.
That's right, yeah.
It's been all Livingston, Kenny. It's just a stand. Ross County's kind of mindset of having lost 5 against Motherwell. They're really sitting deep. Jordan White's been up front on his own. one chance in the game so far. A shot from Awura went past the post, but other than that, it's been all Livy. Joe Newbley's been excellent, but they just lack that little killer instinct. There were 2 or 3 moments in the game where they could have done a little bit better inside the penalty box, and that's the only thing that's been missing. But it's been quite a dominant performance so far from Livingston, but still 0-0 here with a minute to go.
Half-time, Kenny, Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0.
Thanks, Ted. I remember that game actually at Livingston last season. They did the same as they've done today. 4,000 tickets given out to schools and youth and community groups there, local groups, and what a difference it made to the atmosphere. Is it noticeable today, Jim? Is it buzzing? Are the kids enjoying what they're seeing, do you think?
Yeah, you can see obviously a lot of kids here, which is terrific. Again, it gets them involved, and it's a decent day as well here, sun shining. As I said, I think it's a great idea. I think in a community like Livingston, we understand the difficulties of trying to get new supporters in, but they've done their bit over the last few years in terms of how well they've competed in the Premier League. And again, they're showing today that they're a good footballing side. Yeah, they do have a bit of physicality about them, but they knock the ball about, as I said. And in Joe Newbley, they've got a real entertainer, great feet for a big guy, as we know. Likes to run the channels, and I think that's obviously his little weakness, because, just as I say that, he's just nutmeg Baldwin on the line there, come across the goal and just at a fraction away. He's a joy to watch, but if he could add just a few more goals, it'd be sensational. And that's just I say, that's half-time here at Almond Vale, 0-0.
Fantastic.
Half-time here at East Road as well, Kenny, 0-0.
Great, guys. All the half-time scores coming in. We'll get all the reaction from around the grounds. Lots of goals in the first half in the Scottish Leagues this afternoon. And don't forget, stay tuned. We have a 6 o'clock kick-off coming live from Tannadice later in the programme. Let's then get round the grounds on BBC Radio Scotland.
All the grounds, all the goals, all the news.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
So let's go round the grounds for the half-time report, starting at Ibrox. Rangers against St Mirren with Andy Barge.
Yes, Rangers are very comfortable here on their home patch. They lead St Mirren 2-0. Surprise, surprise, Antonio Cholak is on the score sheet. It only took him 5 minutes. And again, surprise, surprise, James Tavernier scored from the spot when he was given the opportunity. It was hard to see what it was given for. Down went Cholak at the front post. A couple of St Mirren protests, but the cries from the home crowd and the players were pretty furious, and Nick Walsh, the referee, gave the spot kick. So the opening goal came just less than 5 minutes into the game. Barisic thunderstruck a shot off the left-hand post of Trevor Carson, and it fell kindly for Antonio Cholak, who, like all good strikers, Mark Haitley will tell you, followed in to stick it into the bottom corner.
Yeah, first to react, absolutely. As soon as the ball left his foot, he was on his way. Cholak got a bit fortunate, but the hard work and the thought that went in to get into that position paid off, and he's continued to do what he does. He's score goals between them sticks. He has become pretty dangerous, a dangerous player at any time.
Well, just as the game reached the half-hour mark, Rangers were given that penalty. Tavernier stroked it down the middle. Trevor Carson went to his right. It was a composed penalty from the Rangers captain. That's his 3rd goal of the season. Marcus Fraser, St Mirren's right wing-back, had a glorious chance to make it 2-1. He had a header at the back post, just about the junction of the 6-yard area, maybe a couple of yards in the penalty area from that. And he had time to take a touch and shoot if he wanted. He opted to head it. He got barely anything behind it, and it looped into the arms of Alan McGregor. And with that, maybe went St Mirren's chance to get back into this game, because, Kenny, apart from that, Rangers have been totally comfortable and they lead St Mirren 2-0.
Mark, we had a debate at Anfield on Tuesday night about whether, a lot of Rangers fans asking the question whether Cholak and Morelos could play together. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think when Alfredo is playing, he literally, it's all about what he does and how he disrupts players in build-ups to games, in the game. I think playing them together, obviously Gio sees the situation all the time and has obviously tried it on the training ground. But it seems to have been a change with Gio. He was asked that question this week, wasn't he? Do you think this pair could play together? And he, from being adamant that they couldn't play together earlier on, he's sort of leaning towards that. There might be a possibility.
Yeah.
So whether they've been working at it on the training ground and it's just not there right now, is one for the future, I would say. But you know, you've got two great goal scorers there. If you can get them both playing at the same time, what a handful that is for any defence.
Yeah, Trolloc on the score sheet this afternoon at Ibrox. Rangers 2-0 up on St Mirren. Let's then get to Easter Road. Hibs against Motherwell with Stephen Craigan.
Yeah, Kenny, at half-time here at Easter Road, it's Hibs 0, Motherwell 0, and I have to say it's been two good footballing sides and I've really enjoyed the game. You'd probably say Hibs started the game a little bit better. Martin Boyle early on cutting in from that right-hand side, which is his favourite side. He had a shot that was well saved by Liam Kelly. Only a few moments later, it was Johan in a similar position, only from the left-hand side, but he just delayed his shot and he allowed Paul McGinn to get back behind and block it. Chris Cadden then had a shot, was deflected by Ricky Lamb. It looked as if it was goal-bound. Sean Goss had a shot from Motherwell. It was dragged past the post with his left foot. But, you know, you look at someone like Joe Efford, who has been really impressive. He had an excellent game on Tuesday night up in Dingwall against Ross County. He looks most likely, if Motherwell are to get a goal, whether he scores it or whether he creates it. You know, you have to say both sides have cancelled each other out after about 20 minutes. That's what's led to the stalemate. But you have to say it's been a tough week for Motherwell. They've been on the road. They've been at Celtic Park last Saturday. They're at Ross County on Tuesday, and they just look as if they lack that little zip they've had in the last 4 or 5 weeks during the game. So they'll probably be the happier of the two sides to go in at half-time 0-0. Changes, I'm sure, will be made by both sides as they both chase the opening goal. But it is at half-time here at Easter Road. Hibs 0 and Motherwell 0.
Thank you, Stephen. So goalless at Easter Road. The same scoreline, Jim Duffy at Almond Vale.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few chances from Livingston, Kenny. You know, they've played well. They've been on the front, taking the game to Ross County, who look a little bit fragile, obviously, after that heavy home defeat to Motherwell. And, you know, you can understand why, you know, they're maybe staying a little bit more compact. Jordan White's been a bit isolated. They've had one opportunity to score, the visitors, with Aurora Edwards, you know, just on the diagonal, hit it on his left foot past the post, you know, but didn't really trouble Shamal George. Whereas in the very early part of the game, Curtis Guthrie missed an absolute set-up on me. The ball got played across the 6-yard line. He's just come into the back post. To me, just tap it in, keep his concentration. But for whatever reason, he just seemed to screw the shot wide. And then it was a Joe Newbley show in terms of entertainment value, taking players on, you know, gliding past him. He's got lovely feet for a big guy. You know, was a victim of very, very bad challenge, I felt, you know, and you know, picked up by yellow card for it. And he was limping a little bit after it. But he looks now as if he's okay. I saw Livingston last week. It was a wee bit similar at times, and it wasn't until you know, they brought on Bruce Anderson that they had that penalty box, you know, kind of like threat really. And I think it'll be interesting to see whether David Martindale changes it a little bit earlier today, because that for me is the one thing they're missing. They're playing some good football, they're creating some chances, but they've got no one to put in the back of the net. I think Bruce Anderson has to come on.
Thank you, Jim.
0-0 here.
Thanks, Jim. So in the Premiership, St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2 a full time. Hibs 0, Motherwell 0, Livingston 0, Ross County 0, and Rangers 2, St Mirren 0. 6 o'clock kick-off. Dundee United against Aberdeen into the Championship then, and the home side at Somerset Park. Derek Ferguson looking very comfortable.
Yes, it's Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0. Kenny, it was a great start for the home side, taking the lead 6 minutes in. It was Chalmers with the precise cross onto the head of Deepo Akinyemi to nod home for his 8th goal of the season from close in. The big striker, well, he was causing havoc in that Queen's Park defence and went close in 23 minutes, flashing another header just wide of the target this time. Queens, well, they were having their moments as well, with Thomas and Williamson bringing out good saves from Alwison in goals. Probably their best chance of the afternoon came. It was just after a half hour. It was the big Queen centre-back, Big Eze, heading well past when it looked easier to score from about 5 yards out. Queens, well, they were made to pay for that miss, with Deepo Akinyemi getting his 2nd of the day with a calm finish, I've got to say, from 15 yards out at the angle slightly to make it 2-0. Ayr should have made it 3-0, and it was right on the break. It was Brad Young clean through 1v1 with the keeper. This time the keeper came out on top. So at the moment it's Ayr United in the driving seat. Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0.
Thanks, Derek. A far tighter game at Gayfield for Gavin Wallace. Gavin, both against Dundee.
Indeed, Kenny, Arbroath 1, Dundee 1 at half-time, and Arbroath not enjoying the best start to the season, to be honest. They're in probably dire need of a result. 6 in, Ricky Little had a great chance on the volley just at the edge of the box. Legston saved well, and to be honest, what came next was the perfect counter-attack. Ball fired out wide to McMullen, his inch-perfect ball into Zach Rudden. Low cross, only really had one outcome, and Zach Rudden tapped in 1-0 to the visitors. Dundee kind of fell out the game a little bit. Arbroath peppered the visitors' goal, and just around about 36 6 or so. It was the most beautiful free kick I think you'll probably see all season. Bobby Lynn, it really was that good. Halfway inside the Dundee half. Perhaps Legston's might be a little bit annoyed and disappointed at himself, but it nestled right into the top left-hand corner. And to be honest, it's something that Alexander Arnold would be proud of as well. And Bobby Lynn opening his account in the league for the season. It's Arbroath 1, Dundee 1.
Thank you, Gavin. To Caplow then. Chick Young watching a bit of a rout there, Chick.
Indeed, Kenny, and excuse me, and indeed the Hamilton Accies players are already out. They've been out here 2 or 3 minutes, no sign of Morton or the officials. Yeah, I would guess to escape the ire of the manager, John Rankin, who made a double substitution with less than 25 minutes on the clock. Remember, Accies are trailing by 3-0. Goals from Jack Baird set them on. A goal from Jack Baird set them on the way. Kabaya with a lovely finish, 1-1 with the goalkeeper, and then Grant Gillespie adding a third with a lovely left foot shot from the edge of the box. They really are an easy street at the moment. Morton, the Accies really need to get their act together. Still no sign of the Morton team coming out for this second half. Maybe they've sitting in there lighting cigars the way they played in that first half. It is 3-0 to Morton, and Hamilton have got a real mountain to climb in this second half.
Thanks, Chick. The home side also in total control. Kenny Crawford at Starks Park.
Yeah, Raith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0. I wouldn't be surprised if Raith manager Ian Murray labels that opening 45 minutes as the best he's seen from his side this season, because the Kirkcaldy men were excellent. Jamie Gullen set up the first on 6 minutes after a poor Cove clearance. The former Hibs man finding Aidan Connolly, who stroked in his 4th of the season at the near post. Gullen was then creator and scorer for the second on 27 minutes, winning a free kick, then dispatching it perfectly into the top left corner from about 22 yards, his 3rd of the campaign, convincing from the hosts. Cove struggling to carve out any clear-cut chances. Raith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0.
And it's in the back of the net. It's absolutely tremendous. Hampden Park explodes once again with delight.
Don't miss a moment of the action.
Off the bar and in. What a strike! What a goal! Just listen to that roar!
Listen to the biggest games on your digital radio.
Ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Scotland Extra.
Or select Scotland Extra from the stations and schedules list on the Sounds app.
Oh, Scottish football lives here on BBC Radio Scotland. Yeah, plenty of action this afternoon. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2, a full-time score. Hibs 0, Motherwell 0, Livingston 0, Ross County 0, Rangers 2, St Mirren 0. Full commentary to come from Tannadice, 6 o'clock. Dundee United against Aberdeen. We'll have a good discussion later on about the punishment handed down to Jim Goodwin this week. We know Aberdeen are very, very unhappy with that. In the Championship, Arbroath 1, Dundee 1, Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 0, Morton 3, Hamilton Accies 0, and Raith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0. In League 1, Airdrie 2, Queen of the South 2, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 2, Clyde 0, Montrose 0, and FC Edinburgh 1, Kelty Hearts 0, Peterhead 0, Falkirk 1, and in League 2, Albion Rovers 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Forfar 2 goals down at home to East Fife, Stennismuir 0, Annan 1, Stirling Albion 4, Dumbarton 0, Stranraer 2, Elgin City 2, and in the English Premier League, Bournemouth 0, Leicester City 1, Chelsea 1, Wolves 0, Manchester City 2, Southampton 0, and Newcastle United 2, Brentford 0. The 5:30 kickoff there is Brighton against Tottenham Hotspur. So that's you right up to date with all the half-time scores. Again, there is a choice of listening now on Sports, so you can hear full commentary of Rangers against St Mirren on digital, online at BBC Sports Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland Extra on your smart speaker, and on BBC Sounds. If it's open all mics you want, that will be on BBC Sounds, FM and online.
On digital radio,
FM,
online at BBC Sports Scotland,
your smart speaker,
and BBC Sounds.
This is Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland,
where Scottish football lives.
So the second half's just getting up and running with a real flurry of goals at the start of the first half around the Scottish League. So many going in, Tom English. We're looking forward to the stories that will develop in the second half. Surprising, I think, so far, no goals. Hibs against Motherwell, two teams that certainly like to be in the front foot.
Yeah, I am surprised. I'm surprised that there's so few goals knocking around. I mean, Rangers have obviously banged in 2. But the rest of them are stalemate. I had high hopes for Hibs Motherwell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Motherwell having scored 5, Hibs having good attacking players in their team. But you know, we've sat in this studio, Kenny, before at half-time, and you've gone, there's not a lot happening, and then mayhem breaks out.
Bang.
The last 5 minutes.
So let's hope we have another one of those ones, eh?
Yeah, we can certainly take that, Leanne, couldn't we? I think we're all looking forward to this tea time kick-off. It's an experiment. They're trying these evening kick-offs, and what a game to kick it off with, as I've said a few times in the programme, and fair play to Aberdeen fans. 4,000 making the journey through to Tannadice.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I like to see clubs that are trying something different. The status quo is good, it offers consistency, but I think if you're looking to try and get bums on seats and create an environment and a different match day experience, then it's out the box, and it's something that I think we could adapt to. For us, it maybe makes the Saturdays a bit longer in terms of production. I'm sure a bit more preparation, but I think for the listeners and the viewers, it makes it a Saturday filled with football, especially when you've got that early kick-off and then the late evening kick-off as well. It's a bit more like the English Premier League. There's games on constantly every time of the day, so anytime you turn your TV on or your radio on, there's coverage in football, so we'll see how it goes, but a hugely important game.
Goodness me, what an absolute blunder at the back, what a mess by Hamilton Accies. And it's 4-0 to Morton. A tap in the end for Robbie Crawford. Absolute dreadful defending. Yeah, it's just dreadful at the back. They're all over the place, and there's an investigation. I have to say at half time, the Hamilton Accies players came out, and the manager John Rankin actually came out and lectured them in the centre circle way before Morton were on the park. What a mess this is. 4-0 at the moment, and Accies in total disarray.
That's a bold move, Tom. John Rankin working with us at the Scotland game, the Scotland Republic of Ireland game. He speaks so well about it. We know how much he loved his coaching. He was a coach through at Hearts. I think he's one of these guys, you say he's a sort of ultimate pro. He looks after himself. He speaks well about the game. Obviously a good knowledge about the game, but he's clearly struggling there with a squad that's just not up to it. And as Chick's saying there, making a bold move, making changes very, very early in that game, speaking to his players on the park before they go out. You just feel it could really unravel for them this afternoon.
Well, it has, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's 4-0. It's unravelled.
The thing is, Tom, the guy who made the absolute fish supper, that was Fergus Owens, who was one of the players he brought on after 25 minutes to try and sort things out. I mean, he just was dreadfully short. Turned around, get caught in possession, dallied all day long, and then just tried to pass it straight to Muirhead, who just rolled it into an empty net because the goalkeeper had come out. It was here's Morton beginning to make changes, but they're doing it for fun reasons now. It's Jai Katongo coming on, Kabaya coming off.
What was the method, Chick, behind the lecture on the pitch? Was that just because the players were out early, felt he had to go and speak to them, or was it to make a point, do you think, in front of the fans?
Well, I think the latter. I mean, why would you not do it in the dressing room, Leanne? You want to go out here and, for all the Accies fans that are here, to be honest, but he made the point of he going round, they got them together, and he was clearly an angry man, having a go at them, giving them instructions as well. And it's going at the moment from bad to worse.
I remember Phil Brown did that. Remember when he was at Hull?
He got ridiculed for it.
He did, didn't he?
Didn't go down too well, did it?
Still getting ridiculed for it now, actually.
Elgin said
I don't think it's a good thing to do, I have to be honest with you.
You don't, Jim. I mean,
No.
John's a young manager, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's probably trying to get some sort of reaction, do something different, but you don't think that's the way to go?
No, I don't think. I think Leanne, and I'll tell you, I don't think she would have liked if the manager takes you out in the pitch, and it's bad enough when you're having a bad day, and then you're almost kind of like humiliated out there. So listen, he's young, he's naive. In that aspect, I understand it's passion. He's wanting to show the fans that he cares. But I think either an assistant or someone should just say, listen, Gaffer, do it in the dressing room. Don't take the players out in the pitch and expose them, because they're young. As Chick had said, we spoke to Alan Maitland before the game, a lot of young players there, and when they get exposed like that, it just shows you it hasn't worked. They've lost a goal within a minute in the second half.
I've never heard the mistake being called as a fish supper, Chick.
You still sit thinking about that, Derek?
I was decent a fish supper.
Do you know how much a fish supper is these days?
What does that rhyme with?
Actually, no.
Well, you need to go to your local chippy. You need to go to your local chippy and find out.
Derek, I'm not a chippy kind of guy, you know me.
Oh, come on.
I would guess 8 or 9 quid probably these days.
I'm a bon vivant.
£9 upwards.
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
What?
There you go.
£9. Where do you go? Where do you go for a fish supper at
I'm
£9?
telling you, check in your local chippy, it'll be £9.
Well, I'll tell you this.
There's a chance! Hat-trick! Dipo Akinyemi, he has been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's lovely play with their United. You know, they make their way up the park. As soon as it's squared to Dipo, you just know exactly where it's going. It's going to hit the back of the net, so he gets his hat-trick and well deserved.
Talk to us about what he's got, the qualities. You think he could play up a level, Derek?
Yes, and I tell you what's really good about him. Yes, he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the physique, but he likes to play really well. And at times when I'm thinking you should have a shot, he actually tries to play on his teammates, so he's got good awareness about him as well. It's just everything that you look for in a striker, you know, and I love that he can link the play as well. He's been sensational this afternoon.
Elgin City have gone ahead away at Stranraer, 3 goals to 2 the lead there. Darrell McHardy with the goal in 49 minutes. Clyde have opened the scoring against Montrose. Jordan Allen in 48. Clyde 1.
Kenny,
Montrose 0.
Just to touch on what you're saying there, Dipo Akinyemi, and I'm loving hearing Derek talk about, because I've seen him a couple of times, he's been excellent. If you want to know the answer, could he play up a level, go and watch his goal against Dundee at Somerset. It's got everything you need as a striker: strength, holding him off, technique, ability, finish. I think Derek's spot on. He's some player.
Yeah, one of the disappointments today is we hadn't had a description from Chick, you know, where he tends to compare goals to great goals of the past. You won't disappoint us today, Chick, will you?
How do you describe a fish supper of the past?
Zidane, Messi.
Yes,
Gerd Muller.
Tony Yeboah, did we have that one?
I'll tell you this, the chips are down for Hamilton at the moment.
Right.
It's another one. Oh, it's 5-0.
Oh my goodness.
It's 5-0. It's absolute bedlam in that penalty, and it's Robbie Crawford again. And Robbie Muirhead rather getting the second of the afternoon, his second of the afternoon, to put Morton 5-0 ahead. What a whitewash this is.
A sore day for the Ackies. Did someone have a penalty shout there?
No, yeah, it was Motherwell, Kenny, they were appealing for it. The ball came in from the right-hand side from Callum Slattery, and Connor Shields just got a touch. I'm not too sure it was a head off, possibly Ram Porteous. He's still holding his ankle. The referee waved it away, Grant Irvine, but the Motherwell players were adamant there was enough contact there for a penalty. It's hard to see from where I am, but it was just to see if Leanne got another look at it.
Yeah, it was difficult to see you. Did it come off the back of that corner, Craigs? Was it?
I think it came before the corner.
Was it? Yeah, no, I've missed it up there. Maybe get a rerun at it. I'll look out for it though.
How's the second half started, Stephen?
It's been a bit scrappy, Kenny, if I'm honest. You know, it hasn't really got into any kind of rhythm or flow. It's been stop-start. You know, I'd said during the half-time break there that Motherwell have had a busy week. They've looked a little bit leggy. You know, their passing hasn't been there. Callum Slattery's been a little bit loose in possession when he normally isn't. Sean Goss has looked a little bit kind of weary as he's went along. So, you know, someone like Louis Moult, you know, who's desperate to get some minutes on the pitch, desperate to score goals, could come on and ignite this for Motherwell. Hibs have been okay, though. Still 0-0.
What about St Mirren at Ibrox? Anything from them in the second half, Rory?
They came flying out the traps for the second half. And got a corner, but Tanzer swung it to the back post, but Conor Gallagher couldn't get the better of Connor Goldson. Rangers have been in the game since then, pretty much had all the possession. A little bit disappointed in their 2 wide men so far. They're flattered to deceive. Had some nice touches and shown some nice moments. However, they've not been able to really get into the game. All the good work Rangers have done has probably came through Arfield and Cholak. You could argue that the 2 wide men are creating the space for them, but I'm looking for Sakala and Matondo just to run at somebody, go by somebody and stick one in the box, which we've not seen so much so far. But St Mirren have done okay. I like their shape. They looked a little bit suspect at times when people break positions, but they've done okay so far, is how I would describe it, Kenny. I was actually looking into it with a victory against Celtic a couple of weeks ago, the last time they beat Rangers and Celtic in the league in the same season, and you would need to go back to 1989-90 for that. And I think I heard Derek Ferguson talking about the good old days. Well, he was in the starting lineup for Rangers that day. So there you go.
Hearing everything.
Chick's going to do his Ricky Harrison of goals in a second.
They've got so many wide players. Not even counting Hadji and Lowry, who are injured. But so many wide players, but none of them are convincing. None of them are making the jerseys their own. Kent is in the team because he's Ryan Kent, and he seems to be a protected species. Today he's lost his place, but he'll play nearly all the big games. But none of the other ones, particularly on the other side of the pitch, they've not made a compelling case.
They looked okay. Matondo and Fashion Sakala looked better when they come on at Anfield the other day, but I know Liverpool made changes, the game was done.
Yeah, but it's also counter-attack, the space. The Ibrox team sit deep, you don't allow space, so your pace is negated. I've seen a lot of players, and I've coached a lot of players, and they've went to somewhere like Rangers and they've actually looked really good, because you're defending for most of the time, and then you Rangers are up the pitch and then there's 50 yards of space. At Ibrox there's no space, so you have to be a little bit cleverer with your movement and link the play up a little bit, play a little give and go so you get in behind. You don't get the same space. At Anfield there was space because Liverpool were up the pitch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jim, and the way St Mirren have set up with the 3-5-2 is you'll often find, with the 3-5-2 it quickly becomes a 5 with Tanser on the left hand side going back into full-back and things, so it takes a rare moment for Tanser to get caught up the pitch, for Sakala to get a little bit of space, or Fraser on the other side.
Sorry.
So you're bang on with that assessment, Jim.
A brilliant piece of play there from Livingston, free kick. Looked for all the Wolves if they're going to throw it in, but I love that. A little bit of work on the training ground. Played it short to Joe Newbley. He held it up, laid it back for Scott Pittman. Had a terrific shot, but Ross Laidlaw struck it a big size 12 boot and deflected away for a corner.
Jim, just look at the stats. Just look at the stats there, Jim. He'll be gutted, Davy Martindale, not to be ahead. 64% possession, 13 shots to count he's won.
Yeah. Well, I've said, they're a good side. They play well, but they missed that threat on the box when Anderson not playing. When he came on last week against St Mirren, he scored one. He nearly got an equaliser in the last minute.
It's the fourth for Ayr United, not Depot. Akinyemi. This time it's Brad Young. It's brilliant play from Chalmers. I thought he must. Well, you look at him, he looks like Grealish, the way he's got his socks down, he's got that kind of blonde hair, but he provides. It's a brilliant cross, hard and low, just cuts it back, and Brad Young just gets enough on the ball so it just nestles inside the post into the back of the net. What a day this is for Ayr United. Ayr United 4, Queen's Park 0.
Matondo must have an earpiece in, he must be listening to us, because he's suddenly in the game. He's cut inside, he's not went down the outside, he's cut inside, he's been by a couple of men, and he's unleashed a very wicked shot, and it's bounced off the post. St Mirren scramble it clear to a corner, but good play from Matondo, I must say.
Rory, I think that's more what the Rangers wide players need to do, because when you look at the way they play and the style which Rangers implement, the wide players generally do come in the pitch because the full-backs go beyond round the outside. So if you're coming in the pitch, if you're not linking the game, you need an end product. You've seen that with Ryan Kent against Hearts last week. He gets his goal, he gets an assist with his delivery.
Yep.
But I think it's just very much they're inconsistent, whereas you look at the Celtic wide men, the full-backs are underlapping runs a lot of the time, so they hold their width, they get to the byline, they put deliveries in. It's a very different style, but Celtic wingers are probably a bit more effective at times than the Rangers wide players.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, I think Jim touched on it, the Celtic wingers, Jota, Maeda, etc., Abada, for me, they show more guile at times. They're able to run past the man, but they're also able to bump it into the striker, a wee give and go. The Rangers wide men, they all, Matondo, Sakala, they seem to all be about pace and power and getting by the man on the first instance. If that doesn't happen, they don't seem to have a plan B.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Sakala, Matondo, Kent, Rice.
Oh, I'm just going to send it off here at Easter Road. Sorry, Tom, I'm having to jump in. Motherwell had a corner kick and Hibs have broke up the pitch. It was chaos in the middle of the pitch. Connor Shields won the ball. I think he slipped over and then gave it away. Martin Boyle went through. He slipped over. Connor Shields managed to get back goal side. He slipped again. Ended up heading the ball. By this stage, Ramport has nicked it past him. Somehow he had broke the full length of the pitch. He's in through with a goalie to beat, and Connor Shields pulls him back. I have to say, Connor Shields has been really, really poor at the start of the second half. I'm really surprised Stevie Hamill hasn't taken him off. And a red card went up, and he's been sent off. Or has he changed his mind?
Just while you're checking that, Craig, there's been a yellow card for Dougie Emery, the Morton manager here. I don't know what he's bumping about. He's 5-0 ahead. He's had a yellow card.
Right, we're just having a look at this now.
I know it's a tricky one, because it looks like there was maybe a foul on Shields just before it, and that's why he slips. Is it Martin Boyle? There's a coming together.
Did he give him a red card?
Yeah, I think so. It looked like
so. He's ran off the pitch. I couldn't see him coming off. That was all.
No, it's a red card. I mean, it's the right decision for the foul, because he's denied an obvious goal scoring opportunity, but a calamity of errors, you would need to say, Stephen.
Yeah, certainly. That's quite an incident there at Easter Road. So we'll just stay with you.
Ironic, Ken, it's another game that Hibs have got an advantage the amount of times this season.
They're running riot.
Wow.
It's another goal for Ayr United. It's brilliant play down that right-hand side. The ball's absolutely flashed across. I think it's Ben Dempsey that gets there. I'll clarify that in a second. But this Queen's Park side, I don't want to see it, but at the moment it looks as if they've chucked it. I tell you what, they've got to be careful. 5-0 down. It could be more. Ayr United absolutely flying.
Certainly are. What a start to the season they have had under Lee Bull. Another goal in the English Premier League. Newcastle United have now gone 3-1 up against Brentford. Yep.
Yeah, it was Dempsey, Kenny, just getting in there. It was a brilliant counter-attack, but Dempsey running from the middle of the park, just getting right across that front post area. And there was a lot of pace on the ball, so he had to control it and just guided it in down to the keeper's left-hand side.
Thanks, Derek. So just go through the score lines then. Hibs 0, Motherwell 0, Livingston 0, Ross County 0, Rangers 2, St Mirren 0. Into the Championship then. Goals galore. Arbroath 1, Dundee 1, Ayr United 5, Queen's Park 0, Morton 5, Hamilton Accies 0, Wraith Rovers 2, Cove Rangers 0. In League One, it's Airdrie 2, Queen of the South 2, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 2, Clyde 1, Montrose 0, FC Edinburgh 1, Kelty Hearts 0. Airdrie have just gone ahead 3-2 against Queen of the South. Peterhead 0, Falkirk 1. And into League 2 we go. Albion Rovers 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Forfar 0, East Fife 3, Stennismuir 10-man Annan 1, Stennismuir 0, 10-man Annan 1, Stirling 4, Dumbarton 0, Stranraer 2, Elgin City 3. And in the English Premier League, Bournemouth 0, Leicester City 1, Chelsea 2, Wolves 0, Manchester City 3, Southampton 0, and Newcastle United 3, Brentford 1. The tea-time kick-off sees Brighton up against Spurs. So what's happening through Almond Vale, Jim Duffy? Are Livy still on top there?
Yeah, still on top, just chance after chance, but they just can't put the ball in the back of the net. And, Ross Laidlaw's not been challenged too much in the goal, but as I speak now, there's it's exactly what Malcolm Mackay were looking for. Oh, sorry, the ball was dragged wide there from a counter-attack, from Ross County. But, it was Kieran Olagby. But that's the first time I think they've been up the pitch in the whole second half. When Derek now is talking about the striker Akinbinya at Ayr United, obviously they Tommy Adeloya last year, who scored I think about 16 goals and did really well. You think it'd be hard to replace him, and I think he went to Swindon, I think, Derek, so he got a good move. Yeah. So as you say there, they've found obviously a fantastic replacement and looks an even better player. So yeah, there's every chance that people might see Ayr United as a really good platform to get themselves back up the ladder again, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been unbelievable this afternoon, unplayable, and as I said earlier, it's not just about the pace. He has got pace, he has got that power, the physique. I just like the way he links the play, and he can play, he sees the pass, he's got good awareness, Jim. And but the most important thing, if you're a striker, is you've got to bang the goals in, and he's already done that this season. So what's that, he's on, what is it, 9?
10 I think
10,
he's
on 10 now, so
yeah, and 9
he's not bad
9
in October.
appearances.
Goals galore. Airdrie had got ahead, as I told you, 3-2 against Queen of the South. Callum Smith on 61. Queens have equalised 2 minutes later through the veteran Gavin Riley.
Double change at Ibrox, sorry, Kenny.
Yes,
Matondo and Davies are off. On come Ryan Kent and Leon King. Not really sure if Davies is carrying a wee knock or what's going on. I know there's been a lot of talk about his fitness and things, but for me again, it's a strange thing to do, sub your centre back when they're so comfortable in the game.
Yeah.
Go!
Sorry.
Yeah,
it's
take it
another
away.
one for Wraith Rovers, and it's Sam Stanton this time. It was a bit of pinball in the box and it fell to Sam Stanton, who's been excellent today in the middle of the park, and he's stroked into the bottom right hand corner from about 8 yards out. Wraith Rovers 3, Cove Rangers 0.
How has Davies looked to you? A lot of talk about him, Rory. Took a long time to go into the side. Rangers paid a lot of money for him. They have had problems at centre half. Sands had to go in there. Leon King has come in and done well, I think it's fair to say. Do you think Davies looks a real prospect for Rangers?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I've watched him against St Johnstone. I've watched him here today, and he's conducted himself well. I mean, I think if you're a defender or you're a centre back and you're going unnoticed, you're doing something right. I think he's won his fair share, and Main's a handful. Grieve is busy, he gets in around you. He he lost his first header up against Maine, and I think he got the measure of him and know how Maine plays after that. And yeah, I think he looks good. He looks good on the deck. He looks composed. He looks strong in the air. I think he looks like a very good player, and the fact that he's left-sided as well is good. It's just I don't know really what's going on with his fitness if they're trying to build it up steadily. But again, to me, you think he'd want to get another 90 minutes under his belt, or 90 minutes under his belt, and build it up from there rather than 60 here, 60 here. I think it disrupts your defence as well. Not that they're under a lot of pressure, but at the same time, for me, it screams that something's not quite right.
How are Hibs looking at Easter Road against 10-man Motherwell, Stephen?
Well, Ken, as you'd expect, they're now in the driving seat. Just had a little chance there. Martin Boyle, Chris Cadden linking up down the right-hand side. Boyle fizzed it across goal. It looked as if Harry McCurdy was going to get a shot on it, and suddenly Callum Slattery appeared from nowhere. But I did say Motherwell looked a little bit leggy. They're just starting to sit deep. They're starting to invite a little bit of pressure. So Stevie Hamill's going to have to try and change something up. They need a little bit of energy in the team, someone to carry them up the pitch, try and get them away from goal. But Hibs now will be thinking this is a game they're more than capable of winning, and they have to win probably, with Motherwell being down to 10 men.
It's incredible, all these red cards, isn't it? When we're getting games involving Hibs. Aberdeen got a red card against Hibs. Kilmarnock got a red card against Hibs. Rangers got 2 red cards against Hibs. St Johnstone got a red card, and now Motherwell have got a red card. I'm not saying they're not fair, the red card, but it just seems like a freakish quirk.
It takes us back to the comments that day, the game that we're going to speak about later on in terms of speaking about Jim Goodwin, that game through there at Easter Road. And do you remember the post-match comments of Lee Johnson that day? He talked about their good play, bringing on red cards.
Listen, I mean, the ones I remember, Lundstrom, that wasn't a red card, right? The one today was a red card, wasn't it?
Morelos was a red.
Yeah, so I think, most of them are red cards. It's just, the point is, it's just a kind of a freakish thing, It's a weird thing.
I think
6 red cards in 9 games.
Was it something like a point they had picked up the other week when we discussed this, Tom? When it was 11 v 11?
Yeah, so against Aberdeen got a red, Hibs won at 3-1. Kilmarnock got a red, Hibs won at 1-0. Rangers got 2 reds, Hibs got a point. St Johnstone got a red, Hibs won 1-0. You'd fancy them to go on now. if it's the trend continues, they're going to win this. They're going to win this game.
So if anybody's listening, go and get a bet on Hibs to win 1-0, Tom. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, get a bet on the opposition getting a red card.
Yeah, exactly. If there is such a thing, But they're in a good position now. Opposition down to 10 men. Great opportunity for them to add to what is kind of an impressive recent sequence of results.
Ken, I have to say it's good to see Kyle McGuinness back in the pitch. We came on last week against Ross County, and he's been speaking this week about his long year out, his 2 injuries, and his kind of loneliness and having to battle back. So it's good to see him, a good young Scottish player, back on for Hibs this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. Just looking, Mahrez put Manchester City 3-0 up at home to Southampton, and Haaland has got himself on the score sheet. 65 minutes played, 4-0 to Manchester.
It took him so long. That's disgraceful.
What about, they're talking about 50 this season, aren't they? They're talking about 50 in all competitions.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy. They must have put him together in a lab. I don't think this guy was born. I think he was created by some clever boffins somewhere. He is a physical goal-scoring specimen.
Let's put this to 2 of our defenders in the programme then. Stephen Craigan and Jim Duffy. Who was the absolute machine that you played against? The guy who was almost impossible to defend against?
I'll let Stephen deal with it. No, listen, for the few money guys, you go on your commentary.
Oh, good save, Alan McGregor. The ball comes in for the right-hand side. It's Kuano Bacchus who runs to the edge. On the byline, it gets crossed all the way to the back post. He's just stretching with his first touch, Mark O'Hara.
He's got to score though, hasn't he?
I don't know, but he's stretching with his first touch. But Alan McGregor all over. By the time Mark O'Hara even gets a chance to set himself, Alan McGregor's all over him. But it's a humongous chance for St Mirren to get back in this.
Alan McGregor does really well, Rory. It's one of those ones, if he hits it first time, you're probably saying he's got time to take a touch. He takes a touch, but Alan McGregor still makes himself huge.
As you can hear with the noise around me, it's the home side that have got the goal, and it's Ryan Porteous, a man that is used in the headlines for the wrong reasons. Today he could be in the headlines for the right reasons. Martin Boyle down the right hand side tries to dig out a cross. It takes a big deflection. It lands about the penalty spot. I have to say, Ryan Porteous is on the ground. I'm not too sure who he's clashed with. I think it's Solheim. The two of them have come together. Ryan Porteous, he wasn't going to lose that header, and it's 1-0 hits.
Sorry, an absolute shatter again for Livingston here from a corner. It was O'Delaye this time, you know, O'Delaye. I mean, again, he's 2 yards out. I don't know if Leanne will see it. 2 yards out on the second pick from a corner, and I don't know what he does. I think he shins it up to his knee and then it gets cleared away, but it's an absolute shatter.
He swings a boot at it, he gets it totally wrong, you're right, Jim, and he gets a second bite at it and he still can't convert it. He actually trapped. Yeah, it's a brilliant first touch, to be fair. If it's in the middle of the pitch, he's done really well, but not underneath the bar. You're wanting to go and convert it.
He's cleared it like a defender. I mean, it looked easy to score, but it's one of those ones again, a head and hands moment. But the fans, are cheering just next to me because obviously that's the time for Bruce Anderson to come on. I think David Martindale's seen enough. Stephen Kelly just come on before that as well. So yeah, that penalty box instinct, I think that they're lacking, is now coming into the pitch.
And for that Hibs goal, Leanne?
It's a brilliant header from Ryan Porteous. Yeah, it does take a deflection anyway, and I'm not sure who Ryan Porteous has collided with.
It's Solholm, I think it is.
Was it Solholm?
Yeah, I think it is. He's just back to his feet now.
Yeah,
but it's one of those ones where it's in the air and you think to yourself, you know, I think a lesser player or someone not as brave as Ryan Porteous might think, well, you know, it's not for me today. There's no way he was losing that header.
He's still got an awful lot to do, and it's actually from a standing jump as well, Craigs, as it comes in. Because of the deflection, he's just stood, leaps off the left foot, rises tallest and just converts it beyond Kelly. It's a really, really good header from Porteous.
2 goals in 2 games for Ryan Porteous. He scored last week against Ross County, didn't he? So
big player.
He's now, you know, it's interesting because he played so well for Scotland against Ukraine, didn't he? And you wonder, was that the moment where the penny dropped and he thought, right, I've got to focus on my game, look after me, don't make the headlines, and put in good performances, and he's done that.
If all the centre-backs are fit, will he be in the next squad?
I think he should be, yes.
Yeah,
he
they're
should
all
be.
fit. Hanley and
he might not start. Well, he might not start, but he should certainly be in the squad, Jim.
He's taken a ferocious dunt. Have they taken him off, Stephen?
No. He's back up again, Tom, and his play's just restarted. He's rubbing his head and he's put some water over his face.
That's a concern, isn't it?
That is worthy of some serious examination. He took a ferocious crack in the head when he very bravely got his head on that. It was a brilliant header. He was down for a bit, and I think that needs to be looked at because he looked in trouble. One of his teammates right beside him, as soon as he headed it, one of his teammates just went straight to him because he could obviously see and maybe hear the collision. I'm a bit troubled by that.
Yeah, with more reports this week from Glasgow University on head trauma, so that is a concern. It certainly looked a real blow for Ryan Porteous. Very brave and totally committed. What a header, but he took a real impact in terms of going for that ball there. Goals going in. SC Edinburgh 2, Kelty Hearts 0. Callum Crane with a goal.
Good finish. It's 3-0 to Rangers, and in all fairness, I was a bit harsh on Sakala earlier. It's fantastic play for him, so direct, goes by Mark O'Hara, plays in Cholak takes a touch, chops inside, and with the outside of the right boot finds the side net, and it's Rangers 3, St Mirren 0.
Is that Sakala in the middle of the pitch, Rory? Yeah. It's brilliant. He does so well, but what a finish from Cholak.
Beautiful.
Cool as you like, juicy, chops in, but to go with the outside of the boot, he's under pressure, but the way he composes himself, it's like he's under no pressure and just puts it right into the bottom corner. But great work from Sakala, quick footwork, comes inside the pitch. That's a great goal from Rangers.
Yeah, Rangers cruising as are Stirling Albion 6-0 up against Dumbarton. Kyle Banner with a goal there.
Some have actually been okay in the second half. Yeah, Kenny, they played pretty well and they've been forward. It's just again that little piece, that last piece, getting the ball into the box with quality. Tanders had a couple of opportunities. They've had I think 2 or 3 corners. St Mirren, good amount of throw-ins high up the pitch. Bacchus has really impressed me. I know they're 3-0 down, but he's probably been the pick of the bunch.
Sorry, what a chance for Motherwell. Long throw, ball comes to the edge of the box, and Sean Goss manipulates the ball really well on his left foot, lets fly from about 24 yards, and David Marshall, really smart save down his left-hand side. So Motherwell certainly haven't given this up.
Ryan Christie scored for Bournemouth, 2-1 up against Leicester City. 4-1 East 5-3. Kevin Hanratty with a goal back in 73 minutes for the home side there, and Montrose have equalised away at Clyde. It's now 1-1 in that game.
Excellent, from which I regularly criticise Rangers wide players for not enough end product. Sakala there showed how it should be done. Gets turned and very direct, and a lovely weighted ball through to Cholak. It's a brilliant finish. Very accomplished.
His movement's excellent. Just peels off the shoulder.
He's a goal
keeps himself on side.
He's been a great signing for Rangers.
Is that 13 and 16 now from him? It's an incredible return.
Yeah, he's been a great striker.
That's another double.
I called him a penalty box striker earlier, Tom, but to be fair, he's headed a couple of St Mirren corners away bravely. He's linked the play well, and he's played it out to his wingers and held it up well. His all-round game, you used the word accomplished, has been exactly that today.
Stephen, I'll come back to you. Asked the question earlier. We were talking about Haaland and we were talking about Chola, another great striker today. Who was the one you didn't fancy on a weekly basis?
Well, the one that probably very similar.
It's a goal for Ross County on the counter-attack.
That's a big goal.
Unbelievable. I'm just looking, I think it's his substitute that's come on. I think Mifula, I think he's come on and he's cut inside. It's been actually a mistake from Sean Kelly. He's just headed it back, and he would have been offside if he had left it, but he headed it, takes it inside, chops on his left foot, hammers it off the crossbar, the ball rebounds. I'm not 100% sure who's heading in. Maybe Leanne can help us out this one.
I think it's Awura that's got the goal.
I think he's the other sub, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's
defensively, that's a shocker though. Defensively, it's come for the goal kick, isn't it, Jim? It's travelled so far.
Why is Sean Kelly heading it there? I don't understand.
Exactly, he's caught underneath it.
He's played it perfectly into the path. But when the Mayfield chopped inside, I thought he'd actually made the wrong decision, but he smashed it off the bar, as I said, and. He's come in. He's come in and just headed into the net. So, listen, it's been all Livy. It just shows you what happens in football. If you stay compact, you make it difficult, you frustrate the opposition, one chance will come your way. That's exactly what's happened. Mackay's team took it.
Awura does really well, Jim, to adjust because it comes back off the bar with a fair bit of pace, but he's getting himself into an area he's anticipating, but he's having to strain his neck to get on it, but he does really well to divert it and to keep it on target. A huge goal for Ross County. Massive, absolutely. Well, we'll see. Livingston have got a lot left in them. The character that they've got. They've always got a goal. Game changers as well, but certainly it could be an important goal for Ross County.
Yeah, Malcolm Mackay apologised to the county fans on the back of that thumping in Dingwall during the week. Lots of goals going in this afternoon. We'll go around the grounds. We'll get some updates in the championship. Crags, give us a name. I'm desperate to hear who it is.
The one who would be very similar to Erling Haaland was Henrik Larsson. You could go through the game and maybe he wouldn't get involved in the build-up play. He would kind of drift away from you all the time. The minute the ball came into the box, that guy came alive, Kenny. More often than not, when you closed your shoulders or you looked away from him, when you spun back around, he was somewhere else. He was a phenomenon and very similar to Erling Haaland with regards just that natural instinct of getting goals. So Henrik Larsson for me.
Yeah, I remember watching him at close quarters in the final in Seville. It was just like a masterclass that night. His movement.
Talking of muscular strikers,
fantastic.
That's Wraith Rovers brought on their new signing there. Bearded Faroese giant called John Fredrickson.
You're a big pal, Kenny. Interview subject later on.
I can tell. Breaking news though, he lost his first two headers. He lost his first two headers, but then his third one he cleared a corner, so that was making up for that. But we'll see if he has any kind of Haaland-like impact on the Kirkcaldy
I love the interviews you do, Kenny, when you do the wee in-vision interviews with a player at the end of the game. You always get something out of them. It'll be interesting to see how he sit down with that guy. I don't think you could do it in the dugout. I'm not sure he could.
Ask him to sit down for him and a stand-up for me.
Ask him what the weather's like up there.
Right, talk to us about your game then. Wraith Rovers in control, Kenny.
Yeah, they are. They're 3-0 up now. It hasn't been as frenetic as the first half. They haven't really had to be as frenetic. They've been in control the whole game. Just a completely off day for Cove Rangers. Mitch Megginson, the captain, just frustrated a wee minute ago there with a lack of service there and losing his temper a little bit. But yeah, Wraith, just a really good performance. And although I say that, Mitch Megginson is through. He's round the keeper and he's going to get a penalty here. Oh no, he's going to get booked for diving. He's going to get booked for diving. He's not going to be happy. David Dickinson, the referee. It looked like Jamie McDonald might have caught him, but Mitch Megginson, to make his day worse, has been booked. And it's just one of those days for Cove Rangers. Wraith Rovers 3, Cove Rangers 0.
Yeah, Rovers cruising there, yep.
Must be synchronised muscular striker time, because Alfredo Morelos has just come on and the lesser spotted Ridvan Yilmaz has come on to replace Borna Barisic.
Thank you. There's a name, isn't it? There's a man that spent a lot of money on, but I know they very much see him as a project, as a young player, but he has got international caps, has Yilmaz.
You can't spend that amount of money on a project player if you're Rangers or Celtic.
But do you think the song coming in to replace Barisic immediately?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but to spend 3-4 million, whatever they spent. You see 3, 4 and 5 million.
Yeah, apparently it was 3.
Okay, 3 million. That's a lot of money for a guy to be a project player. You want if you're spending that money, you want at that level of spend to go straight into the team.
Is it a 4-year contract though, Tom? Is that right? Was it a 4-year?
Yeah, it's a long term deal.
Yeah, Celtic done the same with left back, didn't he?
He's an under-21s international, though, isn't he? I think you can look at it as a replacement for Barisic, who's a player that's always been linked with a move in recent seasons. I think
a player who's suspect at the back.
No, I know. You would maybe expect a bit more competition, but we'll see how he gets on.
Cholak was the other one that went off, by the way. Cholak went off.
No competition at all through it. Capello, Chick Young, but at least Hamilton Accies has stopped the run of goals.
Yeah, that's it kind of faded out a wee bit. I think they both wanted to just got up the tunnel now. The rain's battered. There was just actually going off again, but it was battering down here at Capello. And I mean, they've made 5 changes of Accies, and they've kind of, as you said, stemmed the leak a little bit. Different, half a team altered, but it's been a miserable performance by them. 3 changes for Morton. I think Dougie is just going to put on another couple of subs just to give a run out at the end. It's been a real stroll for Morton. Good 3 points for them. Piles up the goal difference. But what a miserable afternoon for Hamilton Accies.
Are we likely to see a winner at Gayfield, Gavin Wallace?
I don't know. Hopefully, if anyone is going to come for Arbroath, I think the best chance though in this half came for Zach Rudden on the 64th minute. He really should have scored, to be fair. It was a Killian Sheridan cross and it was inch perfect, pinpoint to him, and he just couldn't get his foot round about it. But Arbroath have been on top. They look a lot better. They look more like the Arbroath that we've seen from last season, and they have had some good half chances as they're on the break now, but it is still 1-1, Kenny.
Current league table, of course, this will probably change, but with an eye to the game coming up at 6 o'clock, Dundee United now 5 points adrift at the end.
We spoke on Thursday night with Craig Easton down, and we were covering that area up there. We were in Perth, but we're talking about Dundee United as well, Tom, and you talked about your concerns for United at the moment.
Yeah, listen, I think anyone who's looking at it will be concerned. You know, they haven't won a game, they have an expensive squad, they have a support that's really frustrated. They're going through managers like a dose of salts. They're not showing any improvement. The defending is awful. They don't have that player in the middle of the park like Fuchs, that kind of role, that kind of that buffer in the middle of the park. They're wide open in the middle of the park. They're a team and a club in crisis at the moment.
Yeah, full coverage to come from Tannadice, 6 o'clock. I mean, that's a key point, isn't it? They don't have someone in the middle of that pie. You just wonder who they looked on the pie. They've got a young, inexperienced manager as well.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of experienced players. I know they'll be missing a few of them today, but they have plenty of experience in their squad. But it's just not happening. They're not scoring goals. They're conceding too many. The work ethic in the team, every time I see them, it's substandard. The 2 goals they conceded last weekend were awful. You could pinpoint different players not tracking back with the kind of aggression that you would expect from professional footballers. I think some of them are lazy. Today's a big test for them.
Take responsibility last week, though, Tom. I was at the game and covered it with Craig Easton for the online commentary, and to be honest, the thing that got the two of us was the lack of responsibility. St Johnstone looked completely different. St Johnstone were taking responsibility, but this Dundee United team, everyone was shying away. Obviously, there's a confidence issue there, but not one person in that team, even subs coming on, were just shying away from all responsibility.
Yeah, they look a sorry side at the moment, no doubt about that. Ayr United cruising this afternoon, Derek. They are joint top of the table at the moment. I thought they need 2 more goals. They've still got time to go top of the table, but they look realistic title contenders to you.
Yeah, in this form, obviously, Kenny, but they've took the front 2 off. Tipo, Akinyemi and Brad Young, they've made way. For I think it's Mackenzie's come on there as well. So I think on this showing, I mean, I've watched them a couple of times this season, and they are a good watch. They're an entertaining side. 4-4-2. There's nothing fancy about them, but just as I said earlier, in that first half performance from Akinyemi, it was unplayable at times, but they've been a good watch. I was maybe a bit unfair to Queen's Park, when the 5th goal went in, says that maybe it looked as if they were going to chuck it. It might be a 6 there, but they've kept at it. I think Owen Coyle, he's done the right thing. He's made changes, get some youth on. some legs on, so they are making a game of it. But on this form this afternoon, I'm a wee bit took aback. I'm sitting with Bobby Wanzi beside me, and I said I fancy Queen's Park this afternoon. So how wrong I got it. No, they've been excellent. And the good thing as well, Kenny, there's a crowd. What is it? It's well over 2,000. So it's a good feeling down here at Somerset Park. Good crowd, and and the players have repaid that faith with the paying customers by putting on a brilliant performance.
Yeah, absolutely cruising this afternoon. The home side in control at Easter Road. Stephen Craig, and we saw that chance for Goss nearly getting Motherwell back in it. Anything else at all from the Fir Park side?
Well, Stevie Hamill's rolled the dice. He's went to a back three, he's went four in midfield, and he's went two strikers. Louis Malt's on, Dean Cornelius is on, Kyle McGuinness has just had a free kick, from 25 yards. It just went over the crossbar. So, I mean, Motherwell are huffing and they're puffing and they're trying. There's lots of effort, but when you're a tired team and you're chasing the game and there's gaps opening up, they're playing the risk and reward game because they're going 3 for 3 at the back. Martin Boyle has already went past Ricky Lamy, who's been booked. So every time Ricky Lamy gets one-on-one with Martin Boyle, he just retreats and he's giving them lots of space to work in. Melkerson's on, Harry McCurdy's on. So Lee Johnson's trying to get the second goal to kill the game off. But with 7 or 8 minutes to go plus injury time, Motherwell will just hope one chance can fall their way. Louis Malt is back, hasn't had many minutes, hasn't scored since he came back. Well, he's had 2 goals disallowed, but one could fall to him.
Curtis Main has just rattled the crossbar. Leon King misjudges a ball. It comes up, finds its way to Curtis Main. He turns and he smacks it. Al McGregor's I think he's maybe a little bit unsighted, and it cannons back off the crossbar. But it does remain Rangers 3, St Mirren 0.
That's a good effort from Main.
Yep.
Alan McGregor, whether he's unsighted, but he's in no man's land anyway. If it's a couple of inches lower, it's certainly hitting the back of the net, Rory. I was also thinking, I never seen Cholak going off, but was he disappointed again to be hooked at 2 goals on a hat-trick?
I mean, he didn't seem to be. I mean, I think the end game for Cholak is to be pushing for me to play in one of the Champions League games. For me, he's got to start now on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, whenever Rangers fixtures. For me, he's got to play. I mean, he's scored how many goals domestically, and I think Morelos has had an opportunity. It's more difficult for Morelos. Obviously, you're starved the chances and service and things. Can they play together? I don't know. Can they work them into the same team? We'll see. But I think he should play. It's another good save by McGregor. Back is from distance. But yeah, I think he'll be happier to know that he's probably put his firm favourite to start during the week more than the hat.
I bet he thought he was favourite to start last week at Anfield as well. That must be a tough one for him to take, you'd have to say.
It's got to give. I mean, he's been first choice all season. He's delivering every time he's asked. He's got to be rewarded with a start, in my opinion, during the week.
13 goals in 16 games, and he's 4th double in his last 5 league games.
And he loses his starting place to a guy who's had problems getting himself in shape at the start of the season, disciplinary issues. Didn't get taken away.
He lost his place to a player that Rangers remember to be a fine striker. But that's not the player we're seeing at the moment.
I can see why he goes with Morelos in these games, because of the physicality he's got and because of what he's done in the past. Now, I know that's in the past, but you can see why you would think that Morelos would suit that game plan better. But sooner or later, a guy scoring that amount of goals has got to play.
Rangers have played 3 games in the Champions League and they haven't scored, so maybe to put their best goal scorer in the team might be. I don't think you need to be the brains of Britain to figure that one out.
So, sorry guys, I said maybe Leanne, I don't know if you've seen the effort from Livingston there. Looked as if it came off Kinkola's arm. Livy looking for a penalty, and then eventually it came back to Obalai. The shot deflected, keeper saved it, but just wondering, Leanne, if you've had a chance to see that.
Yeah, just getting a look, just a wee flick. Is it just a shot inside the box?
It's a shot.
It's hard to see if it comes off his arm, to be honest.
He kind of pushes his arm towards his body. Looked to me as if it hit his forearm, but it is close to his body. But obviously, with Livingston fell under pressure and search for that equaliser, they're obviously going to be claiming for everything.
Certainly takes a sting out the shot, that's for sure. But I would agree. I think his arm is close to his body, so I'm not sure it would have been deemed unnatural.
Dunfermline have scored a third away at Alloa. Craig Whiten with the goal on 79 minutes. Newcastle United now 4-1 up against Brentford. Stenhousemuir 1, Annan 1. Annan played with 10 men for a long period in that game. Sean Crichton with equaliser there on 81 minutes. Falkirk now 4-0 up away to Peterhead. Liam Henderson on 82. Clyde now 3-1 down at home to Montrose. Blair Lyons with a goal there on 82 minutes. Barry Bannon has scored for Sheffield Wednesday down in English League One, and any other goals coming in, no more goals at the moment, so we're just winding up now towards the full-time scores. How would you assess then, Rory, the performance of Rangers this afternoon?
Yeah,
you come in?
Yeah, it's full-time. 5-0 to Ayr United. What a display.
Thanks, Derek. What an absolutely fantastic performance from the home side there at Somerset Park. A very good performance from Rangers at Ibrox this afternoon, Rory.
Yeah, it's been comfortable. It really has. I think, you know, with the underwhelming performance midweek, they put pressure on themselves to not only win but perform, and they've done that. To be fair, they've been very, very good in the second half. The wingers have came alive, like we spoke about pretty much as soon as we started talking about them. And yeah, it's been very comfortable, Kenny. 3-0 is probably a fair reflection on the game. Although St Mirren, to be fair to them, have came up the pitch a few times and hit the crossbar, etc. 3-0 is just about right. Good performance from Rangers.
Stennismuir have gone ahead against Annan Athletic. Sean Crichton with a goal there on 88 minutes. What about Motherwell then, trailing through Easter Road in the dying stages there, Stephen Craigan?
Yeah, and it's hard work for them, I have to say. Hibs are being very clever. They're picking them off. They're using their spur man. But Motherwell certainly aren't giving up. I mean, there's been a few hefty challenges. Matt Penny is just going to get himself into the book. He had a really strong tackle on, I think it's possibly Josh Campbell. So, you know, there's lots going on. Hibs are just trying to kill the game. They're wanting to settle things down. But as it stands, because there's only that one goal in it, Kenny, Motherwell just need that one chance or that one little bit of luck to fall their way. But as it is at the minute, I really can't see Hibs losing it.
And Livingston have dominated large periods of the game through there at Almond Vale. Jim Duffy, but they find themselves behind. Any chance of them getting back into it?
Yeah, listen, I've had a couple of moments, you know, kind of melees in and around about the box, but I have to say, give great credit to, you know, the defending of Ross County. They've been magnificent. They've managed to stay really compact when Ross Laidlaw and the ball's been thrown into the box. He's came and collected it. We haven't had the clock up yet for the injury time, but I wouldn't quite call it a smash and grab, but certainly it looks at this moment in time if Ross County got all 3 points.
And it's that man Fashion Sakala. I tell you what, it starts from Leon King, a quite wonderful crossfield ball to Tavernier. Tavernier takes a touch, plays it to Moreles, he holds it up, plays in Sakala, boom, bottom corner, 4-0 Rangers.
That's full time at Capello, and it's a stroll in the park for Morton. They've won this one by 5-0. Baird, Cabaya, Gillespie, the first half, a double to Muirhead. And well, Hamilton Aki's all over the place. It finishes at Capello. Morton 5, Hamilton 0.
That's it.
Fashion Sakala, he actually deserves that, Rory, because the run's excellent, comes from outside to inside. Morelos, it's a brilliant through ball, a wee reverse in behind the St Mirren backline, and a first time finish from Sakala.
He just lifted his shirt, and under his shirt said, "Did you see that, Tom English?"
I didn't see it.
Oh, did you not?
I did. All right, it's okay, sorry. I'm slow on the uptake. I tell you what, Sakala, he made a difference in midweek. When he's good, he's very good, and he's been very, very good today. Of all of the wingers, that's probably the best wide performance I've seen from a Rangers player this season.
It comes back to Jim Duffy's point. As the game's grown on, St Mirren have taken more risks and it's created more space, and Sakala's made perfect use of that, and it is now full time. It's 4-0 to Rangers. It finishes.
Sakala played himself into the
Spark. Wraith Rovers 3, Cove Rangers 0.
Thanks, Kenny. Sakala, Rory, played himself into a strong position, getting a starting slot on Wednesday night.
Quite possibly. I still think Kent will start. I think Tillman's probably played himself out rather than Sakala playing himself in, but he's done enough today, Sakala, in my opinion, given the substitute appearance he had and
full-time McGayfield.
This performance today, to suggest that he's a strong contender to start the match. Yeah.
Thanks, Gavin. So the full-time scores just coming in around the country. Still playing at Easter Road, still playing at Almond Vale. Two very narrow leads in these games. Motherwell at the park at the moment, Stephen.
Yeah, they are indeed, Ken. It was 5 minutes. It's just went up for added on time. Stephen O'Donnell's went over to the left-hand side. He's on as one of the subs. Tried another long throw into the box. Hibs, I have to say, have defended them really well, but Motherwell just keeping the ball alive. Louis Malt in and around the penalty spot. There's certainly plenty of Motherwell jerseys committing forward. If Hibs can get the ball and get it up the pitch, Elias Melkerson could go one-on-one, but it's a corner now. No, it's not. I thought it was a corner kick, but it's a goal kick. The Motherwell fans aren't happy, but I think there's about 4 minutes left of injury time.
Annan have equalised in the 90th minute against Stenhousemuir. Tommy Goss with the goal there. The full-time scores starting to come in around the country. All the reaction to come. We'll hear from the managers. We'll hear what's going to be in sports scene tonight. Stephen Thompson will have a chance to have a look at some of the big talking points from this afternoon. Of course, we will build up to that 6 o'clock kick-off at Tannadice. Very interesting conversation, I'm sure, we will have with Tom, with Leanne, with Michael Stewart, with Willie Miller, in terms of the punishment Tom handed down this week to Jim Goodwin.
Yeah, I think it was a whopper, wasn't it? Look, I expected a punishment, but I didn't expect that. I don't think Aberdeen expected that. You look at the similar incidents, similar things that people have said, nowhere near that kind of punishment. I think the SFA have created a rod for their own back. If 8 games is, I know he had previous offences and stuff like that, but I think it was a pretty swinging punishment when you consider that racism in this country was last time it was punished was a 7-game ban, and he's getting 8.
Yeah, big discussion to come on that big game at Tannadice this evening. United really struggling this season. We'll talk about that later in the programme. Jim Duffy, Livingston pushing for that equaliser.
Yeah, there was a 3-minute clock up, but everybody's up, and there's a last free kick. The ball hit a diagonal ball from Ross Laidlaw into the box, from Shamal George into the box. It's come back. Every player is in and around the Ross County penalty box, but they've defended brilliantly, and I just can't see them losing a goal here. And yeah, as I say, that final whistle goes 1-0 Ross County.
That is a huge win for Malky Mackay's side. What a week he has had. He apologised to his fans after the home thumping by Motherwell midweek. They have bounced back in style. They were under pressure for long periods at Almond Vale this afternoon, but they've hung on for the win there. Owana Edwards with a goal on 73 minutes. Still going, still hope for Motherwell Easter Road. Stephen Craigan.
Well, it was a drop ball, or actually the ball's been dropped to David Marshall. I think someone in the Hibs team had taken a bang to the head, so play had stopped and David Marshall restarts with the ball. But there can only be maybe 2 minutes left in the game. In general play, Motherwell haven't really created an awful lot. I'd said that Sean Goss had a chance in the first half that went wide. He had a chance in the second half that was saved by David Marshall down his left-hand side. But for all their effort and their energy and their appetite for the game, they haven't really created a clear opportunity that we thought that was one they should have scored from. So, they've puffed and they've tried, but it looks as if they're going to come up short.
Interesting to know what to expect, Leanne, from Hibs this season. We covered the League Cup campaign, hugely disappointing there. Some interesting comments at the time from Lee Johnson. I'm sure we'll hear from him post-match this afternoon in sports. I'm with you right through until after 8 o'clock this evening. But there's no doubt there's quality in that squad. Bringing Martin Boyle back in. They still get Aidan McGeady to come back into that side.
Yeah, and that's 4 wins on the bounce as well. Now, domestically, whether they've had players sent off in the opposition or not, you still need to go and get the job done. So Lee Johnson, whilst he's building a project there, he's now picking up results that go with that. And consistency, as much as we look at Stevie Hamill at Motherwell and we'll say he's doing really well and the team have responded, struggles to put 2 results together in a row on a bounce. So Lee Johnson's now done that for 4 games, if they can see it over the line today. And you mentioned the players still to come back, and we're not too far away then from heading into another transfer window once you get through this period in time that you can strengthen again.
Full-time Kenny at Easter Road. Hibs 1, Motherwell 0.
Yeah, they have done it. They got the goal. A really brave header from Ryan Porteous. He took a really bad knock in the process. That was in 67 minutes after Connor Shields was sent off just before the hour mark. So all the full-times are in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We'll get the classified results for you. We'll hear from the managers. Plenty of post-match reaction to come. We'll hear what's in Sports Team this evening. And, of course, we'll start to build up the full commentary from Tannadice. That's Dundee United against Aberdeen. That one kicks off at 6 o'clock.
Every goal,